east and west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin, the Rift Valley, and parts of northwestern Kenya. Isolated heavy rainfall events are expected in specific regions, with isolated heavy showers likely in the highlands east. According to the detailed regional forecast, counties in the highlands west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin, such as Kakamega, Bungoma, Kericho, Trans Nzoia, and Uasin Gishu, are likely to receive morning rains in a few places. And in the international scene, South Africa's ambassador to France, formerly a long-serving cabinet minister, was found dead on Tuesday outside the Paris hotel after the window of his room in the high-rise building was forced open, according to prosecutors. Emmanuel Mthethwa's body, a close associate of former African President Jacob Zuma, was found directly by the hotel. A source close to the case, who asked not to be named, said the ambassador had depression and his death could have been suicide. That's the news wire. I'm Leo Baga, and remember to continue enjoying the EPL matches across our radio stations, Berur, Radio Maisha, and right here on SpiceFM.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord. It shouldn't be like that.
I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice. When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning. It's it is actually a few more minutes than we would have liked after 6 o'clock, but here we are. Either way, it's 13 minutes after 6 o'clock, and you know what? It's the 1st of October. It's the 1st of October, and like a joke, even though tumeanza, and September has come to an end, and we're still here. And those sounds that you hear from people who are freezing. We're inside this room, you guys. It's cold. Cold without an L.
It's like it was snowing at night.
Yeah, and if you hear me saying it's cold, then you know that these two gentlemen are suffering. Meanwhile, good morning.
Good morning.
You look like you're on the slopes of the Andes Mountains. It's very, very cold in your world. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. You know, they say October 1st is World Coffee Day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
More importantly,
International Coffee Day.
Oh, International Coffee Day on the 1st of October?
Yes.
It's Nigerian Independence Day.
Oh.
Hey, yeah.
Where's the green?
I
know where the green is. I know.
Look at you laughing mischievously. What's wrong with you?
It's on my head. Right.
Oh, the green is here. He understands.
Yeah,
he got the memo.
It's too cold and it's too early in June.
Trying to get a visa.
Sorry. I wasn't quite sure where you were going with that, but okay. Oh, you're trying to get a visa. Just talk to me now. I don't understand. Nigeria gained flag independence 65 years ago. Meanwhile, you'll tell us what's happening. I don't think we're going to let you go.
Nothing's happening, really. I've just worn this suit for a very long time, so I was like, yeah, why not?
Okay. And you want us to believe that? Yeah, no problem. We believe you. It's
you know,
good.
Ada, me and my coffee. Either he's going for an interview, or there's somebody who's going to be impressed today.
Bas.
I just wanted to feel good. I dress up for myself, not for someone else.
Okay, so other people...
What's going on?
I don't know, but people are dancing. We are dancing unto the Lord. Dancing hallelujah. We are dancing unto the Lord.
That cannot be... That
what
is,
TV is dancing to?
No, I can tell by the dancing style. That's a kegosho. That's kegosho.
Two extremes. You're freezing in here, they are dancing.
Oh, it's warm up in there.
I know.
You should do that once in a while.
Daddy,
lead us into a dance.
It's a kagosho for real. I'm now hearing what they're dancing. All right. So now that we have established that Evie is fine and she has rubbed off on Joylene and she has also rubbed off on Kev and whoever else is in there, good morning. Good morning, and how are you doing today? Fine, thank you. Fantastic.
Guys, you know, it's just 92 days to the end of the year.
Imagine, like
just
a joke.
92.
Just 92, and we're already on the way. Hey? You guys, what did I want to tell you? Hey, the Lord has done it finally. Finally. The Lord has done it finally. Finally. They have captured the chicken. You see that chicken that Okeke went to look for? It was in my estate, and they have captured it. There's even picture evidence. They have captured the roostering rooster, and it is tied somewhere in somebody's backyard by its two legs. It can crow no more, my friends. The natural alarm is ding dong dead.
End times.
Okeke was not in Nigeria.
Okeke was just here.
Okay.
They've done it for us.
You gave us a trailer, so tell us the story now.
I don't know. We just saw it in the group one morning.
So the chicken came.
Then somebody said, please, the owner of this jogo, see me in the evening. And then we saw the chicken is there lying docile. Two of its legs have been tied. I said, so this is the demon that has been crowing every morning, trying to steal my destiny. Refusing me sleep.
The chicken that used to come to your gate?
Yes. Refusing me sleep that the Lord has given to me free of charge. It is God who gives his children sleep. Shebi, you know.
Yeah.
Robbing me of the gift that God has given to me in terms of sleep. Now, where is it
How
today?
dare that chicken?
In somebody's pot of stew.
It was a cock.
Yes.
Yes. And it
Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing.
I don't know. Cocks make the loudest noise, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's scientific.
Cock crows.
Huh?
I don't know.
Cock crows.
It robs you of
the
sleep.
The crowing is the noise. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. So finally,
The Lord
they
has
arrested
done
the
it.
cock and
They kidnapped it.
They tied it.
It's tied somewhere in the corner. It's going to be somebody's pot of stew. So I asked her, I said, excuse me, her name is Wairi. I said, what are you going to do with this thing? She said, look, either we'll throw it or we'll give it to the guards for them to cook stew. But this cannot continue anymore.
How nuisance has it been? How nuisance was it?
You don't understand what I'm talking about. No. This thing would crow every hour.
Every hour.
Every
of the
hour
night.
Twice. And then even now start walking on people's fences. And now it walks, takes 2 steps, then it crows, then it stops. It's like it looks around. They didn't hear me. Okay, guys.
So
let's
did the
do
owner
this
show
again.
up?
Who's the owner? The owner is quiet there in the group as though they don't know what's going on. But I have a feeling that today they will be looking for their cockerel and they will not find it. And they will ask what happened. But you know what? By then, we'll be doing like this.
Tamsana.
And the soup.
The soup. Bas.
I know.
Understand.
You know that's Kenyan chicken.
Is it a broiler or a Kenyaji one?
No, that's
Kenyaji, the
Kenyaji
one
slaps
with the
best.
colorful feathers.
Yeah.
Yes. It's over.
Let him know what Kenyaji.
Yeah.
It's not dead yet, but it's on the way.
Kenyaji slaps right.
Proper.
Different. Yeah.
So I'm just happy
In all
to
manner of
inform you
things.
that I slept the whole night without the sound of a cock. Real. Rooster. I'm sorry, Evie. I'm sorry. I don't even know. Hey! Forgive me, Lord. It's Dennis Osato's fault. Yeah? So those are the Chronicles now. Okay. It's good.
Okay.
All right. That was episode 2. Episode 3 is coming tomorrow. You're going to like this one. So this one you have to hear tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sawa? All right. You guys are fine. We've established that.
Yes.
And whoever is Dennis Aseto's kryptonite, they're waiting for you. That stuff that Superman keeps in a box.
Yeah.
Also do that, taunts him, that one. We're going to have an interesting one today. Let me let you know some of the things that we'll be talking about. Our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Our audience on KTN is here as well. EVE is making things happen in there. And, of course, you'll be able to see what happens with the show through the day, thanks to Christine. All right, so we're getting into things this morning. Dennis Aseto, Dennis Okari, and Okoh with you this morning on The Situation Room. It's Wednesday. So what does that mean? It means... I just got a message from Joroge Waweru, a very good friend of mine.
You did what?
I just got a message from Joroge.
Okay.
I can't say, I can't. Anyway, I have even forgotten what I was saying. Let me tell you what we'll be talking about this morning, shall we? It's Wednesday, so our Spice Baraza today is going to be from 8 to 10, and we're going to have a conversation around what education really looks like on the ground, my friends. And it's going to be story time and as well an understanding. There was somebody who put a comment on our socials a while ago, and they said, you know what, you guys, you don't understand what education really is like out there. You can imagine that it's 2 teachers in a classroom and that there are 30 students in the class and that there's a bell that rings and then people go, It's very, very different for the majority of people. Yeah. That sample of the majority of people is who we'll be talking with today on the Spice Baraza. So we will have that conversation from 8 to 10 and we welcome you to be part of it. Share your experiences. We'll see what we can do to make sure that everybody is part of this as we get into it. Sawa. Also then, there has been a lot of vitriol that has been spilt. Fostering national cohesion among marginalized communities. Umulkhair Harun is a nominated member of parliament. She's going to join us at 7 o'clock. This is another sensitive issue that social media was awash just a couple of days, and there are always the underlying tensions in terms of who's Kenyan and who's not, right? Kenyans whose descendants are from another country, whether we're looking at Asia, whether we're looking at Europe, whether we're looking at even countries that border Somalia. And there's a lot of spewing on the internet, but even amongst people in terms of what you can't come here and you're actually not originally Kenyan. Well, who is? Who's originally Kenyan? So we're going to be having that conversation at 7 o'clock. It's going to be an interesting one. Umulkhair joins us at 7 a.m. and then we'll get into the Spice Baraza at 8. So that's what it looks like this morning. Karibuni sana, welcome even as we get into it. And Mr. Aseto had taken us to the island of the Comoros.
The island of Comoros, where vanilla and fishing goes on, right? But let's go to the proverb. The sun does not forget a village just because it is small. The sun does not forget a village just because it is small. Okari, how would you interpret that?
The sun does not forget a village because it's small. My interpretation, the sun does not forget a village because it's small. I think it speaks about one. The sun, for me, signifies, it's the sun rising is an opportunity to see another day. And with that comes opportunities. And there you have a small village, meaning that no matter how small, this is now personal, no matter how small you feel, no matter how small you look like, opportunities will come knocking. It's not about height, it's not about age. I think it's just opportunities coming knocking. And even if you feel overlooked or underqualified, you still enjoy the same opportunities. So it's up to you to wake up, smell the coffee, seize the opportunity. Yes.
Indeed. Absolutely. I think opportunities are available for everybody. And so it's just like saying, the sun is there for everybody. It shines on everyone, big, small, on whatever side. Even if it shines for you tonight, or rather during the day, it's somebody's night. The next time it's your night, it's somebody's day, and the sun is shining there as well. And I remember my mom used to say to us all the time, you know what? When the school bell rang, everybody heard it. In her time, when she was going to school, it wasn't a given thing that people would go and apply to school and say, please accept us. But that they used to go through the villages calling people, come and go to school, come and go to school. So they rang the bell. So they would ring the bell, and it was a call for people to come. And they say they rang the bell and everybody heard it. Everyone heard it. It is up to you to heed the call of the bell and then present yourself to school. They didn't ring only in some places. It rang and it pealed everywhere. So then it's up to you to take opportunity as it comes.
Yeah, I look at it in terms of significance. So regardless of how big or how small you are important and significant in your own way.
Absolutely.
That you do matter. I would give an example. You would hear statements being made out here. So like Trump would come, say statements about a certain small country somewhere, talk a lot of nonsense about that country. But remember, at the end of the day, as human beings, as people, we enjoy equal rights, equal opportunities. We all have 24 hours. Never has it been that those who have more enjoy 26 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's the case. Everybody had an opportunity. It's up to you and what you did with it. Yes, because the sun will shine for everyone. That's a good one. Absolutely love it. It's inspirational as well. All right, so everybody's awake this morning and we're getting into it today. Let's say hi to you guys as we get into the work for the morning. To ask Okari.
Do I ever get please, can they start asking Aseto questions now from tomorrow?
Aseto's question is coming, you don't worry, but this one is for you.
Okay, what's the question?
Is the opposition having a fight as Kioni breeds supremacy battles?
It's all noise.
It's all noise?
Yes.
All right. The question for Aseto is, how are you?
Salama sana. Go fresh.
Yeah.
Who's that again?
Don Sabwa. Good morning. How are you doing?
Morning to you.
Peter Carrier says, the only one who can tell you can't win is you, and you don't have to listen. I love it, Peter. Good morning. He's tuning from Mombasa this morning. Hisa Daniel says, good morning, tuned in from Atiak in Uganda. Good morning from Mombasa, says Robert Mbogo. Desmond Otis says, he who peels the groundnuts for a blind man must keep whistling to prove that he's not eating them. It's very true. Because think about it, when you're eating groundnuts, can you whistle?
No.
and you're eating groundnuts. No. So if I'm peeling and you have to keep whistling so that we know you're not eating my
The
food.
only thing you can do while eating groundnuts is follow up President Unga's speech.
Well done. well done. Well done. Top hat to you, man. Good morning, Spices. Happy new month, Akinyi. Thanks. I decided that my name is Akinyi, all right? And the squared D's. D squared, I think, is what you want to say. Putting it another way sounds totally different. Isakale says, good morning. Go forth, sip your tea. And remember, in this republic, even breakfast might be taxed if it's served with too much optimism. Wow. Isak, good morning. Happy new month, team. This is Nyabo, okay? Ndu, please sing for my husband, Jeffrey Mogaka, who is celebrating his birthday together with his twin brother, Bernard Barongo. Tell him I love him so much. Okay. Jeffrey, Nyaboke loves you so much. Sawa. She's told us. That's how we know. And she wants...
Nyaboke is honey.
Oh, Nyaboke is honey. Oh, Nyaboke means honey.
It's honey.
A lot?
Oboke is honey in Kisii. So Nyaboke.
Nyaboke,
Yes.
your baby is loving you very much this morning and wants us to sing for you. I'm singing to who? Jeffrey. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jeffrey. Happy birthday to you. May you have many, many more. Your wife, Nyaboke, loves you very much.
Your honey.
Your honey. Sorry, your honey.
Hey, Gaki.
hey, it's sweet, eh? When you speak it in the language,
it's different.
It's proper. All right. Jimmy Monovi says, good morning. We are on the last quarter of the year. Indeed, we are wishing all well. Kabisa. Dr. Edetatu says, let's discuss the ongoing PABs in Geneva, Switzerland. PABs being the pathogen access benefits sharing. Oi, okay. Washari Njeri says, good morning. Does Okeke have a twin brother in Kenya? I don't know. Well, we'll look for him. Linda Mama was good, but Linda Jami is better. That's what the president says. And that is animal farm loading. Isn't it just? Masharia, tuned in from Portland. Good morning, Spice family. Minneapolis, Minnesota here. I like my agege bread, thanks to Princess Nduzak. Have you tasted agege bread? I'm telling you, there's nothing like it in this world.
You ought to bring us agege bread.
I am good. It's still on the agenda. It's soft. Look, let me not even start because the show will end and then Eve will be mad at me. And I don't want Eve to be mad at me. Cindy, all right. Leo says, happy new month, Princess Ndu Denison and Aseto. After a simple Google search, it seems maternal mortality is rising from 109 in 2022 to 154 in April. This is although not conclusive as there are discrepancies here. Maternal death is a big issue, guys. And we know that the lead cause of maternal death is PPH, which is postpartum hemorrhage. It's still an issue. We can't not talk about it. Steve Opio says, good morning. What a blessed morning from Stedmack and Karen. Good morning to you. Jacqueline Isanda says, good morning. Aguto Gembo says, good morning. Happy new month to everybody. Tibbs Muga is tuned in this morning. We see you. Wangi Juma says, Hamjambo wana SpiceFM. Mkaji. Well, that's a tongue twister. A mouthful, rather. Mtuflani says, good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Good morning. I want to know Mtuflani's real name. I want you to know. See, now you just tell us your real name and make us happy this Wednesday. Amma?
It's good when it says mysterious.
Oh, wow.
Mtuflani.
Mtuflani. You decide. It's like somebody else over. She used to, what was her name? Oh, I can't remember. Surah Common. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. That's what she calls herself, Surah Common. So you really, if you didn't know her, you wouldn't know her name. Mwangi says, good morning, Spice. Wishing all the Spices a wonderful October and a pleasant day ahead. Indeed. My prince, good morning. An Indian court has asked doctors to fix their handwriting. They've gone to court and they've said, excuse me, this zigzag style of writing is ambiguous and it creates room for misinterpretation, which is tragic because you can just do like this. And then it says augmenting. How do you read augmenting from something like this? Or you can read, does like this, and then maybe somebody says you have anemia, but that's what is written is brain tumor. I mean, for God's sake.
But have you ever noticed, go to the pharmacy, they
can read the thing. So either all of them are crazy, or there's some kind of translation between pharmacists and doctors that we don't understand.
At what point does a doctor lose their handwriting?
I don't know. What is it?
Because growing up, handwriting and being able to write well
was a
is always a
for,
trend. So at what point do they lose that skill to just write well?
I don't understand because have you ever met a doctor with neat penmanship. Ever.
Very learned people don't write well, by the way. It's been proven. So if your handwriting is good,
here we go.
Check yourself. Very smart and learned people, including the wealthy. Have you ever seen how they even do signatures? They'll write from one corner to the end. They don't care.
Okay, I get it.
Can you
Long
read my
signatures,
handwriting?
but the good, cute signatures.
Can you read my
poor
handwriting?
people. Yes, I can read your handwriting.
What does it say?
You want me to? Yeah, I have come.
What? That's not what it says.
That's what it says there. No, that's what you've written there, isn't it?
You're saying what? I have come. Okay.
Is it not there?
Actually, it is here.
Yes.
I can't even understand what I was saying. What? Sheesh. So let's leave that alone. That's the only thing you can see in the
Wait,
page.
is that your diary?
No. Pages of my diary. No, it's not. Like, I would never bring it here so that you can now roast me properly. Never. Never. Hey. So people with neat handwriting, what you're saying is they're not prosperous. Or
No, they're not. Go check. That's what I'm saying. Check yourself. If your handwriting is those cute ones, you follow the line.
Yeah.
It's one word, it's separated.
I see the I is dotted at the particular point every
Yeah.
time. You're writing
The D
like a
has-
typewriter.
The D has the
tail.
neat tail.
Yeah. Then we have to say, okay.
The T. the vertical line and the horizontal, they actually touch each other.
Do you know someone you went to school with who's a doctor today?
Yeah,
And can you remember being in class with them as young kids and how their handwriting was?
Sumita Saha, a friend of my classmate, is a plastic surgeon right now. She was neat to a fault. Her handwriting was that typewriter one.
Yes.
Typewriter one. So this is how your theory might not be right.
And today?
She's a plastic surgeon in California.
How does she write?
I don't know. I haven't seen her handwriting for some time.
Yeah, because I just try to connect the dots. At what point exactly? Or is it now once
It's
you get
possible
to
that
med
handwriting
school,
has gone to
you
the
get to
dots.
med school, and because you have to keep
Too
up
many
with it,
things in your
so
head.
you just like, let me scribble and move.
It's true. But
I mean,
now
in school
the
it was neat because, well,
you had to be.
Yeah.
But in fact, I should send her a text and say, hey, write something on a piece of paper and send it to me, please. Let me see.
Check how they sign checks,
Yeah.
how they sign letters. Just check. These wealthy people.
Very fast.
Very Madogodani there. You can't read.
Those ones. So that was an interesting story, my prince, because now the court has said, excuse me, you people will not do this nonsense because discrepancies, problems, worries, back and forth. All right, really quickly, guys, let's get through it. Charles Adore says, good morning. Erica War is also tuned in. Christina, we see you. Helena Pondi is tuned in this morning from Embakasi. Good morning. Josh Willie says, Nikondania show karibu kabisa. I love to see people that we don't see often, but also getting into the room just as much as we love folks who are here every day. Thank you so much. Leo says, it's 109 deaths to 100,000. I know, it's crazy. It's too many. Mama J says, Ndu's lipstick is popping. Thank you, my sister. Jeffrey Nicholas says, good morning to Ndu and the Dennises. Ira and Dunda says, good morning. God bless the month and fill us with blessings and change for the better in each and every one of us. Indeed, kabisa. Desmond says, Ndu unapenda udaku. Yakuku, kabisa. Antonina Kehika says, good morning. Aseto, we were not born yesterday. Good morning. Where? Anakuona what?
Antonina Kihika.
Dave King.
My social media is Dennis Aseto. Slide in.
What? Sawa basi. Ben Chakala says good morning. King Dave says good morning. The great ones. Okeke is trending. I'm telling you, tomorrow he'll be back. The chicken will haunt me in the afterlife. I refuse it, Mama J. And Weather says good morning, Spice. That Okeke story sounds like a Niger movie deep in the village. This will be my directorial debut. Wait and see. Jerry says good morning. Thomas Omosa is tuned in. I can tell the situation room is cold. Where? It was. It's getting better now. Edgar Mwangi says good morning. And Louis Rudasingwa is also tuned in. Douglas Kibagong, welcome back. There's a cat that's being looked for, and if it's found, there's a reward for $1,000. Cats, as in cats meow. Let it go, I beg. Duke FX says good morning. Kutoka leo hakuna kwenda sharehe na mtu ambaye hana kura. Very true.
Very true. Muhimu sana.
Voter registration is on, guys. Go get registered. If you need to change your polling station, this is the time. You need to get a voter's card. Do it now. They misspelled your name on the last register. Fix it. Do it now. Aseto, you're looking sharp, ndio unaambiwa.
Asante sana.
Listening from Kitale, good morning, Spices, Boaz Nalianya, Downstein Lagat is tuned in this morning, Chebebe and the crew, good morning. Richard Odera says, good morning, Spice. Now I understand why creases can either be increases or decreases. Sindeo, love the zebra vibe. Sabal Harry Ndu Dennis, and that's a fine suit, by the way. John Nene, so now where I'm from, I want to say Nene. Is it correct? Ndu and the two Dennises, we love you. Asante sana. Good morning, Atieno. Bernard Nyaberi is also here. Michael Olanda is tuned in from the land of 1,000 hills. Andrew Chira is here. Mohammed Noor is also tuned in. Ambassador Zia Beja tuned in from the Paddington in London. Always tops. Asante sana. Michael Gona, good morning. We are right here and it moves. So karibu. And we get into things this morning with these conversations. We took some time to then be able to get into things, but we're going to do it anyway. And we continue going into it. All right. At this point, let's take a look at what's going on in the papers. Kaende. We'll take a look at the headlines. And starting off with Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. The headline here, let me clear my throat first. Rubble rouser SGs is what the headline is on The Standard.
What?
Nakwambia, my friend. I'm whispering the headline. Kenya's political parties are reeling from a new wave of indiscipline as secretaries general are once trusted to be the official voices of their movements morph into political mercenaries. Really? From ODM's Edwin Sifuna to Jubilee's Jeremiah Kioni and UDA's Hassan Omar, the misuse of party logos and platforms to settle personal scores is fueling bitter contradictions, sowing confusion and raising questions over whether party leaders on their renegade secretaries truly speak for the rank and file. Did something happen and I was not in Kenya? I just want to know, when did something happen? I'm asking a question. Medics to down their tools. Healthcare in turmoil with doctors, clinical officers and laboratory staff threatening to rally behind their striking Kiambu colleagues. Remember, the medical staff in Kiambu have been on strike now. We're into the 4th month. Abi?
Yes.
Kitu kama hiyo. Who have been on strike for 4 months. Yeah, there we go. The country is staring at a paralysis of services that could plunge patients into unprecedented suffering. It doesn't look pretty at all. AGOA, remember the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act? Yes. Well, Kenya looks for China for duty-free exports. Whether AGOA survived or, did what it was supposed to do is still, the jury's still out on that. MPs want former NHIF boss and staff arrested for over loss of public funds. Well, I want a pony and $1 million. But, okay. Tell me if you think it's actually going to happen. Dalmas eulogized as a gentle political giant. We did see the Requiem Mass that took place in his honor, saying goodbye yesterday. And, may his soul rest in peace. How KQ's 387 billion shillings dream crashed before takeoff. Nini? Ooh-wee. A parliamentary committee has heard that Kenya Airways' ambitious project Mawingu, once touted as a game changer for the national carrier, became one of the most expensive ventures that ultimately failed to take off. Did we spend the money? Did they spend the money? Well, KQ CEO Alan Kilavuka appeared before the National Assembly's Public Debt and Privatization Committee. And he said that the ambitious expansion plan, valued at approximately $3 billion, was based on economic and market assumptions that did not materialize, leaving the airline burdened with unsustainable debt and eroded quality. I'm sorry, but if you're going to spend $3 billion, you need to be making sure that that plan is watertight. If you didn't, for sure, you have some questions to answer. Health workers issue nationwide strike notice and they said, we're doing it, guys. You don't sort out what you're supposed to sort out. We're going to bring this thing to the ground. That's essentially what they're saying. Kenya looks to China for duty-free access after AGOA Pact expires. So AGOA is not happening anymore. So they said, hey, China, how about we do something? Now, there was the NCPB scandal, fertilizer scandal case, 2022. The boss has been acquitted because of, things. And 5 other individuals said, no case to answer, you can go home. What happened to the scandal? Through the window. Hapo ndio tuko.
Now let's go to the Daily Nation. Uhuru move jolts Ruto and Gachagua. Now, broad-based government, the president and ODM leader Raila Odinga's allies have attacked Mr. Kenyatta for his harsh criticism of the manner in which the country is being governed. Remember, former President Uhuru Kenyatta accusing the government of implementing projects that have not been tested anywhere. And United Opposition, the revival of Jubilee Party and association with former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i has triggered furious reactions from the former Deputy President's camp. What are some of the statements we hear? That there is a red wheelbarrow somewhere. You know, let's see how that will go in the next few days. Now, fallout twice in 8 months. Retired President Uhuru Kenyatta has held talks with his successor William Ruto, giving the impression of a ceasefire by the former allies turned foes. But the return of Mr. Kenyatta to the political arena with bare knuckles attack on the government has collapsed the short-lived truce and also upset opposition leaders who were not spared his stinging criticism. What is he up to? What is former President Uhuru Kenyatta up to? Time will tell again. Now, team to probe school sex pests. The Education Ministry will set up a specialized unit to address rising cases of teenage pregnancies. Since January 2024, 69 teachers have been sacked by the TSC for sexually abusing learners. It is a conversation we were having yesterday on what is happening in Meru County and what needs to be done. Still a concern and a conversation that needs to continue. Former DO recounts Al-Shabaab captivity. Now, in January 2012, Edward Yese, then a district officer in Wajir County, was kidnapped by Al-Shabaab terrorists. He speaks out on his harrowing ordeal during his 19 months in captivity in Somalia. Now, ex-KNH bosses 229 million cash assets frozen in graft war. The High Court froze money in bank accounts, bonds and properties worth 229 million shillings to suspended Kenyatta National Hospital Chief Executive Officer Dr. Evanson Kamuri on suspicion the wealth was acquired corruptly.
Sad.
You know, talking about the country's premier hospital and the corruption allegations, you can imagine how many people lacked services if at all that money was stolen. That's how you connect the dots. And IEBC blames mistrust for 61 billion shillings elections budget. Kenya's elections are among the most costly in the world at over 2,000 shillings per vote, way above 646 benchmark. The poll agency says suspicions on vote rigging force expensive actions like printing ballot papers abroad. Question is, even after doing all this, is the election still waterproof?
My question would be, all right, so the reasoning that you want to give as to why the election is so expensive, you've admitted, first of all, that it's one of the most expensive election processes in the world, all right? And of course, they've told us, oh, well, you know, it's expensive because there are 6 elections taking place, rather 6 positions being chosen. While in other elections, it's just the president being chosen, so then it's cheaper. No. There are other places in the world where other selections are being made and they're still cheaper. Okay, so then we put that aside. Then you tell us the reason why it's so expensive is because we have to use so many security mechanisms to ensure that there is no vote rigging. Seriously. And that's how you want to deal with public trust deficit? By spending more money? Okay, I get it.
To include security features, but even then, still cases of election malpractice still exist. So what exactly have you done?
Exactly.
I don't think it's an IBC problem, to be honest.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't. I think it's our collective problem.
Absolutely.
The thing is, it's a trust issue. Because if you live in a neighborhood and when you're moving in, you're told, okay, this place is... there are times or seasons when, you know, we have theft, robberies, these kind of things. So what are you going to do? Put an electric fence around you.
Raise your fence.
But before you do that, first you hire a night guard. Then you have a dog. Then the next thing you realize, wait, I need to put CCTV cameras. Then the next thing is an electric fence, high walls, grilled doors, grilled window panes and all that. Why are you doing that? You just don't trust the environment you're in for your own protection. It's the same thing with the election. It has nothing to do with IEBC, to be honest.
When we talk about this trust that IEBC says is elusive, this trust, does it exist among us citizens or is it the political class
it's all of us.
The problem?
It's all of us. It's all of us. from politicians to those who are actually going to vote.
I feel like it's the politicians who are fueling that mistrust.
Well, they do. But again, we've allowed it.
Yeah, true.
We've allowed it. Let's look at the Star. Big war rocks Gachagua and Uhuru wings. Page 4 and 5 of that story. Competing ambitions to control Mount Kenya, vendettas at play. There's a picture there of Dunga Beach in Kisumu, where disease left fish farmers with huge
Horrible
losses.
to see those pictures.
It's very, very sad. A cage filled with dead tilapia after what they're calling in quotes a mysterious disease swept the fish Kisumu Dunga Beach. Now, inside IBC, talking of IBC, story on Star as well. 10 billion plan to register 6.3 million voters. The IBC has unveiled 9.6 billion strategy to register at least 6.3 million new voters ahead of the 2027 general election. If there is anything we'll learn from India when we had the gentleman here telling us how they do it, it will be this. They print all the materials from within. The ink is from within. They actually export it to other countries. Why can't we also have our own ink?
Let me tell you something.
Ama ile ink itapelekwa, a certain region may be poisoned.
Let me ask you. Exam papers for Kenya, where are they printed?
London or France.
Okay.
Oh, even our ID and passports. The booklets come from France and UK.
Just asking.
But the only thing that we print locally, do we still do that? Money.
Money?
We used to print notes in Kenya.
Yeah, we used to print here, but the materials, are they from here?
No.
Okay.
So what do we print? Calendars is what we print locally, I think.
And T-shirts.
Calendars and T-shirts. And party banners.
Yeah.
Let's move on now. So there's a bitter political row, according to this story here, that has fractured the unified opposition, triggered by the struggle to select a presidential candidate for 2027 election. The tension pits the camp of former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is backing former Interior Minister Fred Matiang'i, against that of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. At the heart of the confrontation are competing ambitions to control the influential vote-rich Mount Kenya region alongside personal vendettas. I think we just need to widen our scope and look elsewhere. There's also a lot going on around other parts of the country. But let's go to auditors' red flags. Now, the emergency cash is what's on the spotlight here. So, the Auditor General has raised serious concerns over management of Kenya's contingencies fund, citing irregular disbursements and lack of accountability in spending public funds meant for emergencies. The audit revealed that 3 ministries, that is the Defense Ministry, Interior, Security and National Administration, and Irrigation, failed to provide expenditure returns of the stated amounts advanced from the fund. Irregular use by other departments also cited. Now, as a result, she issued a qualified opinion on the contingencies fund books for the period covering June 2024. At the top of the list are unsupported refunds totaling 1 billion from the fund. Expenditure returns are essential to verify how public funds are spent. Now, in the circumstances, the validity of the amount disbursed from the fund, 1 billion, could not be confirmed. Githongo further flagged irregular use of emergency funds. This follows the finding that 130 million disbursed to the state departments for public works, crop development and livestock was used for goods and services that did not meet the legal threshold.
All right.
It also emerged that during the 2023-24 financial year, a total of 6.53 billion was advanced from the fund, more than double the 3.11 billion disbursed the previous year. Now, the funds were primarily allocated for drought and flood mitigation, including El Nino response measures. Pesa ilikulo.
Kabisa.
Yes. Obado's anti-graft deal at risk as EACC rejects plea bargain. The ex-Migori governor entered agreement with DPP to forfeit assets of 235 million. But EACC is saying, wait. Tushikilie your deal kwanza. They're saying that instead the Obado case should go to full trial now. So, trial magistrate Charles Ondieki has allowed the parties to pursue the plea bargain, the parties to pursue the plea bargain deal, saying the court was agreeable to any form of alternative justice.
But I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yes.
But this plea bargain was actually a tool, or is actually a tool, that the EACC offers in terms of what can be used to, at the very least, get back what they see was public funds.
Yes.
It was their idea.
Yes. Yeah.
So in this case, where it seems that they're not able to get it back, they say, okay, fine, we will not prosecute, or then present the option where you could essentially be jailed after a sentence. So just give it back.
It's the DPP, by the way. So the plea bargain is between the DPP and the former Migori governor.
So the EACC comes in and saying, no. Push. All right.
Let's reject this thing.
Okay, I understand.
Let's go to full trial.
Okay, I understand.
Yes.
So is the judge listening to that?
Well, that's what EACC has said. So we'll wait and see what the court will then rule.
Okay.
Yeah, because if they argue this will go to full trial, EACC will not necessarily do it themselves. So the prosecutorial powers are with the ODPP.
All right.
So it will be interesting to see. And there's been this war between EACC and ODPP.
Always. Everybody's
war,
just trying to see.
So it will be interesting to see then what happens. My last story here. The government has unveiled an ambitious plan to grow 100 million trees during Mazingira Day on October 10. Hata sijamaliza sentensi. Go ahead.
Is this separate from the 15 billion trees? Or is this 100 million Mazingira Day is part of the 15 billion?
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a very, very good question. So here's the thing. This announcement is, October 10th is Mazingira Day. Okay?
Yes.
So they're saying, okay, we're going to give 71.1 million of the seedlings will be fruit trees planted across 35,570 public and private primary schools nationwide. Each school is expected to grow at least 2,000 trees. But officials are then saying, okay, Kenyans, go out and plant these trees to contribute to the government's broader 15 billion tree campaign. So I am assuming this is within that.
The 15.
But 100 million trees in one day.
100 million trees. So that would mean
every Kenyan planting
trees. Two.
So if you don't plant
every Kenyan, including babies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
Yeah. So you just take the population and then multiply by 2.
Did you plant trees last year?
No.
Did you?
I plant trees every month.
You plant trees every month? Where?
Wherever I can.
Wherever you can.
Like you just go to some place, dig a hole, plant a tree.
Well, not just some place, but there's usually something happening. Yeah.
But you do this every
month?
Twice, 2 trees every month.
That's really, really incredible.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
And you can actually see that ecosystems will change because of that. It's just...
My only issue.
But then it's not just planting trees; it's taking care of them after. That's the thing. You can plant trees and you can have 10 million, but you don't take care of it, and then you have 5 at the end of the thing.
Yeah, because the conversation has actually changed from just planting trees to growing trees. Taking care of these trees and making sure that we get that which we want. It's not just a question of let's take photos. We've planted 1 million trees, so if you come 5 years later of the 1 million trees say you planted, how many survive?
Exactly.
That is the conversation.
But just juxtapose this to the stories of, okay, so you're cutting down trees to build hotels. You're still cutting down trees to create... I mean, it's
Bomas is gone, guys.
Yeah,
Bomas is gone. Do you remember Bomas?
Yeah. So we're doing all this. So plant trees. But then in some specific spaces, we're cutting down same trees that have been there for tens and hundreds of years.
One doesn't get it because you go to countries like Korea, they brought down their highways to plant trees, and you look at what that has done to the ecosystem. It has rejuvenated. You find people say they're breathing better. People have places to go sit and unwind. Here at home, we are cutting these trees to put the same highways that others who had them are bringing down.
We're getting to the top of the hour, but let me share this story with you because folks have been asking in terms of what happened with those who were accused and held over Albert Ojwang's death.
Yes, please.
Ex-OCS and 5 others in Ojwang's murder case denied bail. Former Central Police OCS Samuel Talam, he is former. In the police service, you have a charge against you. You're stripped of your position, Abi. That's what I understand. 5 others, they will remain behind bars after the High Court ruled their release on bail could erode trust in the justice system and compromise witness safety. Justice Diana Kavedza said the scale of public unrest following the death of blogger Albert Ojwang and the potential influence of the accused officers presented compelling reasons to keep them in custody. Public interest demands that the accused remain in custody while awaiting trial to safeguard public order, reassure victims and their families, and preserve confidence in the justice system. And I quote from her. The judge cited the aftermath of Ojwang's death, which sparked widespread protests, destruction of property, and even the burning of Mawego police station by mourners. The accused persons stand trial for offences arising from circumstances that they've already inflamed public sentiment. Their release on bail at this stage could risk aggravating public tension with the potential for renewed unrest, thereby undermining public safety and the administration of justice. So just for your information, the 6 are Talam, Constable James Mukwana, Peter Kimani, George Gege Getao, Jin Abwao, and Brian Mwanike Njeri. They'll remain at the Nairobi remand prison with the option to seek bail again once key witnesses have testified. So it looks like the 6 will remain until the trial is called.
So what happened? So these guys didn't send themselves.
No.
They just didn't decide, okay, this is what you're going to do to these to Ojwang.
Yeah.
So story alagati lishaivo.
So there's someone being shielded, yeah?
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Who gave the order?
Yeah.
We keep saying there's too many cases around the world whereby those who gave the order are the ones who are standing trial.
Yeah.
Slobodan Milosevic, for example, in the war in Eastern Europe, was not on the ground. But did they give orders? Yes, they did.
Look at even what
Kabuga, the same thing.
Felicien Kabuga.
Yeah, look at even the ruling that former French president and his role in Libya.
Exactly.
Just been given the other day.
Who gave the order? And that's the question you always have to ask. All right, that's some of the stories that are making headlines this morning, and looking into the details of that. We'll talk about who's really Kenyan and the war that we see that's taking place online. What does it actually mean? Let's get your views as we come into that conversation. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Good morning, this is the news via Amlea Ubaga. A family in Junju Ward, Kilifi South, is demanding justice for their grade 8 daughter, Ernestine Tunje of Ngongoni Primary School, who died while receiving treatment at Kilifi Referral Hospital after being bitten by a teacher. A post-mortem report has revealed that the 15-year-old girl died from brain hemorrhage caused by the biting. Alex Tunje Mzunje is the girl's father.
Mtoto aliyekufa alikuja siku ya Alhamisi kutoka shule na mchana, akaniambia, dadi, nasikia kichwa cha niuma. Nikamwambia naenda hospitali. Akasema wenzangu wanafanya mtihani, nipatie pesa kanunue dawa niende nikafanye mtihani. Nikampatia, akaenda. Jioni yake kurudi, kamuuliza vipi, nasikia vipi? Akasema bado kidogo nasikia yagonga. Asubuhi yake kuamkia, ilikuwa Ijumaa, nikamuuliza vipi, uendeleaje? Akasema atanasikia vibaya sana, hata sitaenda shule, nitaenda hospitali. Nikamchukua nikampeleka hospitali. Kupeleka hospitali akaangaliwa malaria, akaangaliwa kila kitu, hakuonekana. Akapatwa painkiller kutuliza kichwa, tukarudi nyumbani.
Alex also alleged that his daughter did not inform him in advance about the beating by the teacher until a head scan was performed and it was discovered that she had severe brain injuries.
Lakini Jumapili sasa asubuhi nilipoamka nikamuuliza, nampata haongei vizuri. Nikimuuliza mdomo haufunguki, kabidi katoka na yeye paka Vipingo hospital tena. Kaenda kwa maji na kadungwa sindano moja. Akasema naenda mkamwangalilie Jumatatu mwende naye Kilifi. Tukaenda nyumbani, kufika hapo nyumbani kaangalia hali sizo, inazidi kupanda tu. Kabidi tukatoka moja kwa moja tukaja paka Kilifi. Tukafika Kilifi akapigwa picha ya kifua na akapigwa ya pia ya kichwa, lakini majibu sasa Sasa madaktari walikuwa hawataki kutuambia ule ukweli, wanatuficha ficha. Walipotuambia ule ukweli siku ya Jumangapi, ilikuwa Jumatano, ndio wananiambia kweli, lakini mtoto wako aliumia, aligongwa huyu ama alifanya nini. Alhamisi nampata yuko hali mbaya kabisa. Kabidi nikamwambia kuna daktari mkubwa amekuja, nikamfuata paka huko aliko. Kufika hapo akasema huyu basi hata heri ende ICU. Nikamchukua kumweka akaenda pale kwa ICU. Kufika kitu saa 11 ile asubuhi ndio madaktari wakaja wakaniambia mtoto wako ameshindwa.
The registration exercise for 10,000 police recruits scheduled to begin on Friday across the country will proceed as planned. This is after 2 appeals filed at the Milimani High Court seeking to halt the exercise were dismissed. The petitioners noted that halting the exercise would be against the interests of Kenyans, considering the small number of police officers in the country.
More than 20,000 text messages and phone calls requesting that we withdraw this application, the input of our principals who instructed us, and to allow the 10,000 youths of this country to be recruited tomorrow.
Of Kenya, Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, Practice and Procedure Rules 2013, Rule 27.1 permits the petitioner to withdraw a petition with the leave of the court. The court is also required, before granting leave, to decide on the juridical effects of the decision, that is Rule 27, sub Rule 2. I have listened keenly to the reasons by the petitioner and find no reason to deny the withdrawal. I thus grant a request to withdraw the 2 applications dated 9 September 2025 and 11 August 2025. There be no orders as to costs. The file is hereby marked closed.
The National Police Service has offered 1 million shillings reward for any information regarding the whereabouts of Collins Jumaisi Halusha, the prime suspect in the Kware massacre, where over 40 women were killed and dumped at the dump site. Jumaisi escaped police custody alongside 12 suspects on August 20th, 2024, after cutting the wire mesh at the Basking Bay. 13 months after the incident, the suspect remains at large. This marks the second time the DCI has issued a cash reward for Jumaisi's arrest, but unlike the previous instance, the reward amount has now been disclosed. The suspect, who hails from Shaviringa, Vihiga County, was accused of committing mass murders on 42 women, including his wife, following the discovery of bodies at the Kware dump site in August last year. Following his arrest, Jumaisi confessed to the crimes but later claimed he was tortured to admit the killings. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord. It shouldn't be like that.
I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust,
There is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Hiya, it is 10 minutes after 7 o'clock and into the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation on this Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's Energy Day, apparently. And even as we get into conversations this morning, we'll be talking about that in just a bit. But you know what? Your basket of goodies is still getting larger and larger, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And, interestingly, nowadays, when you actually, for most people, I don't know about you guys, you actually move your work to your house. You're always doing your research. You're always trying to get things done. You're always surfing the internet. A lot of people who actually go to physical schools, like Aseto went to do a physical exam somewhere in, where was that again, Aseto?
Why are you whispering?
I've just remembered a Niger movie.
I told you there was a story.
Sophia in London.
I knew there was something. I knew.
Sophia in London. That was one of the funniest Niger movies I've ever
hilarious.
watched. So funny. So that is when you're at home. You are using your internet not just for entertainment. So you're not just on Netflix. You're not just watching music videos on YouTube as wifey is cooking, girlfriend is cooking, or you're watching the news, because nowadays people have actually, for most people, you don't necessarily need cable. All you need is just go to YouTube because all channels are live anyway. But for most people, they also take advantage of trying to do their research in the house, and this is using Safaricom Home Fiber. Now, the beauty about this is it's not just an issue of you using then your creativity or your time to see what else is happening around the world. It's also getting very fast and reliable internet, where if you're watching a video, it's not buffering. If you're joining a class, like the other day, I think Aseto was doing an afternoon class or something with your professor. Now, you can imagine your professor is asking you a question, and then Aseto comes on, and then
stutters.
He's buffering.
then it's buffering. I know people play those jokes during COVID, eh?
Yeah.
Where you pretend, my internet is not working.
Did you forget your TV is playing in the background?
Oh, wow.
That's the thing. So all I am saying is, if you really want to enjoy a lot of these things, whether you're going back at home in the evening or you want to spend some hours in the night before you go to sleep to just learn some new skill online, all you need to do is get yourself Safaricom Home Fiber, and there are great discounts. So what you need to do is just stay tuned to the station room for future discount announcements. We did our last discount, that was yesterday, which is the 25% discount. But additionally, what is even more important is Safaricom has added more savings to you, and you can also now pay with Bonga points because it's end month, depending on the day that you paid for your package. You can as well dial *126# or visit my Safaricom app to actually redeem. And if you are not on Safaricom Home Fiber, you all just need to dial *400# and get connected. Or visit my Safaricom app again for immediate connection, and it is free. Installation is free. The router is free as well.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. So we are getting into a conversation where we're asking a couple of questions and we're waiting for our guests to get here. But in the meantime, there are other things that we need to discuss. People have been asking questions over the last couple of days, and it's some of the stories that are making their way into the headlines this morning. And of course, we've heard that medical workers would go on strike to join their colleagues in Kiambu County to say, you know what, this is enough. We're just doing too much and it's not giving us the results that we are after. But this is interesting because on Friday, all coming from the Jubilee NDC, one of the things that former President Uhuru Kenyatta spoke about was Linda Mama. Now, under Linda Mama, it was very clear that women who were going to deliver babies, not all women's healthcare, but women who were going to deliver babies would be delivered of their babies at no cost. That they would then be able to go there and they would actually go and get delivered of their babies and get the initial primary care package that they needed, whether it was diapers and a little bit of something, the much needed cotton wool, and then be able to go home after that and not pay a cent. This happened. And to the point where I'm actually doubting myself, that did Linda Mama actually work for people? Yes, it did. Did we see the reduction of maternal death in the country because of, postpartum hemorrhage and things like this? Did we see that? And I'm at the point where I'm actually starting to ask myself that did Linda Mama not work for Kenya's women? That did Kenya's women not go into hospital and not have to pay anything? I don't think we were living in an alternate universe at that point, but that these things actually happened. That women, I think it was Christina who told us online that she actually was delivered of her baby under the Linda Mama program, and she didn't pay a cent. Or did you, Christina? I know that you're still online, even as you're might be going to bed soon, but you're still here, part of the show, and I need you to confirm this to us. She went to hospital on Bagavi Way, had her baby, came back home, didn't pay anything. And this is the testimony of very, very many women that under the Linda Mama program, they were able to do this. Now, we heard Uhuru Kenyatta speak about this on Friday. In no uncertain terms, he was very clear about what he was saying. But then we also did hear President William Ruto come and even until yesterday say that, you know what, fine, Linda Mama worked, but under Linda Jamii, now the same thing is available to women. The same kind of treatment is available to women under Linda Jamii, which is under SHA. Is it not true as well that it is available to women? Is Linda Jamii providing the same thing, if not better, than what Linda Mama was providing? Because these are people who go into these facilities for these procedures or for this care. You can't lie about having been delivered of a baby in a facility and not having paid anything for it. So this is what we are saying. Are you attending hospital and being delivered of babies and not paying anything for it? We spoke to I believe it was Ms. Atieno a couple of weeks ago, and she told us very clearly she went to a hospital well, she's not had her baby yet. I believe her baby is due this month of October. Yeah. She paid 5,400 shillings, and it was made very clear to her that she needed to pay the obligatory 27,000 shillings in order for her to then come and have her baby. And she's fully paid up under SHA, mind you. So this is a total of 32,400 shillings that she must then pay to have her baby.
The baby will be delivered, I think, via CS, right?
Via CS, because of certain complications that she has already. So that's a CS delivery. So a normal birth is lower than that. So it's either they're paying or not. And I don't understand. Are people who are pregnant today going to hospital to have their babies being charged or not? The way it happened under Linda Mama.
Politics aside, yeah.
Politics aside. I mean, the politics is fueling a particular conversation. So let's park that for a moment. The real situation on the ground.
Yeah, but I have a question. So Atieno paid premiums for SHA, right? Before then getting the services.
I didn't even know.
Just correct me if I'm wrong. So under Linda Mama, Linda Mama was under NHIF, obviously.
Yes.
Like the way Linda Jamie is now under SHA.
Yeah.
But for you then to benefit, so for pregnant women, you're going to hospital. So regardless whether you're employed, unemployed, or you have paid for NHIF or not, you are still getting the services. Am I correct?
Now, this is what you had an NHIF card,
yes.
Number,
right? And that your deductions had been made, your payment had been made under NHIF.
So that was a requirement?
I'm not sure. This is the thing.
Because I also need to understand whether you needed then to have your contributions updated under NHIF with your card then to enjoy the benefits of Linda Mama as compared now to SHA, where the premiums have also, again, equally have to be updated for you to, again, you have to pay other charges and whatnot. It will be interesting to hear whether this is actually happening qua ground. Because as they say, on paper, things are different. Qua ground, vitally different.
Okay. Now, any Kenyan mother was eligible.
Yes.
All right. A woman would register for Linda Mama through NHIF offices or directly at health facilities. It was under the NHIF. It was designed, of course, we know what it was designed to do. It provided maternal services at accredited public and some private faith-based health facilities, antenatal care for visits, normal delivery, cesarean section or management of complications, postnatal care up to 6 weeks after delivery, including immunization and family planning going after that, emergency referrals. Now, how did it work? A woman would register with NHIF. Even without an NHIF card, facilities used her ID or details. When she went for ANC or delivery, the facility would offer services free of charge. NHIF would reimburse the hospital a fixed amount for each service. Normal delivery had a set rate, C-section had a higher one. Now, NHIF reimbursed facilities directly based on claims submitted. This was meant to strengthen hospitals financially. So, obviously, there is an amount that you're paying under NHIF, right? And so, when you now talk about it being free, you have to ask how free was it really? But the program, compared to what you were contributing under NHIF, is incomparable in terms of what you were getting. How much was it under NHIF per month? Can we remember?
500.
500, Bob?
Yeah.
500 shillings per
700,
per month. So we're looking about 6,000 a year. Right? But you would then go and register and you'd be able to do all of these things for free. There was no requirement for additional payment. Now remember, what Atieno told us when we spoke to her a couple of weeks ago is that she was fully paid up under SHA. So it's 600 bob times 12, you've paid your 7,200 for the year, or your 300 shillings. And so you've paid your 3,600 per year. That's paid. But she was asked to register with 5,400 bob, which she did. She was then further asked that in order for you to come and have your CS, you must pay this 27,000 bob, which she's now gathering to then be able to go and have her baby. But remember that any mother, regardless, was eligible under Linda Mama. You would register through NHIF, and you would get free maternal service. You would have 4 visits antenatal. This is before birth, of course. You would have a normal delivery, cesarean section, or management of complications taken care of under this program. And you would have care up to 6 weeks after delivery, which is usually when they say things have gotten back into normal. And then you will also have, the basic immunization for your child, as well as enter into a family planning program. This happened under the program. It happened. People went, and I'm still waiting for Christina. And I know where she is. I know that where she is might be a little bit late, but she had told us that she had actually gone through this. She did. And we know that there are very many people who went through this program. We're now being told about Linda Jami. Did we know about Linda Jami? Under Shah?
Did we know about it?
Yeah.
Well, I think Linda Jami is a bit more ambitious to Linda Mama, because for Linda Mama then it was only covering expectant mothers. But now Linda Jami then stretches it out to then cover the entire household. So that's where the confusion then is. So Linda Mama was specifically
for pregnant
women.
Mothers to deliver.
But then when you're looking at Linda Jami, it casts the net a bit wider, so to cover everybody in the house. So the model then is a bit then different. In my understanding, because I stand to be corrected with this, but that's how I look at it.
Some of the facts here about Linda Jami now, it's an enhanced program. The concept of Linda Mama was not abolished, but has been enhanced, integrated under the new social health authority, right? And the vulnerable mothers have been covered under SHA. Premiums for vulnerable mothers and their households are now fully covered, and they are not required to pay excess services. That's based off what I'm getting here. And the expanded scope, the enhanced program covers a broader range of health services beyond just maternity, extending to primary health care and critical illnesses for these families across all SHA funds. Yeah, so they try to improve on Linda Mama to go broader, enhanced services. But question is it working? Do Kenyans know that Linda Jami even does exist? Because if you look at even some of our listeners,
maybe just go through some of the stuff that folks are saying this morning. Herbert says that I used to pay 1,700 shillings for NHIF. My boys were born through Linda Mama and were covered. This is what he's saying. Also, we're seeing here that FID says Linda Mama registration was done independently at antenatal care services and not linked to NHIF of the individual. Actually was linked to NHIF. The only way that they could operationalize Linda Mama was through the existent health system, and that was NHIF at the time. So there we know that already, that there was a direct link between NHIF and Linda Mama, because you would then just present yourself. It was not that anybody... so any woman was eligible. So even if you didn't have an NHIF card at that point, you could still come. So there was a link to it, but at the same time, there were others who were not under the NHIF system who would actually come in and get registered. So it was... It was for everybody.
It was for everyone, because what I've just seen as well is that you did not have to also have paid NHIF premium for you to access
Linda Mama. Okay.
All you need to do is to just be registered, and you get the services.
So you didn't then need to have your premiums updated. No. That's what I was trying to get at. Then that was a bit different. So
it was quite different.
You still have NHIF. You may not have, be updated, but you will still get the services.
Well, here's an example.
In the case of Atieno, like when she told us that she was told, okay, you know what, you have to pay for a whole year first.
Yeah.
Now that's different.
Okay, so Purity Charles says, I had not registered to NHIF that time, but I registered under Linda Mama for free in my last clinic visit, and I used it for CS, and I didn't pay anything.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So she had not paid NHIF premiums, but she went and had her baby via CS and didn't pay a cent.
Yeah.
So this is what we are saying, that truly it was a free system, that you could actually go in and register, of course, not on the day that you're having your baby, but you register before and you get all of these services, you come out with your baby and you get your care package and all of that. So it actually did work, whereby it was a free service for mothers, and that government then was making sure. And we also know that Linda Mama was heavily supported, not just by NHIF contributions, but it was heavily supported. There were other donors, partners that came in and made sure that that worked. 6 years ago, one of my employees had a baby through CS and antenatal care before baby and for 6 months postnatal. She was not registered under NHIF or Linda Mama. It was all free. So that was, I wonder where or which partner was involved for her to be able to do that. But if we're getting it from all indications, what we're understanding very clearly here is that Linda Mama was a program whereby women, so long as you are Kenyan, would then be able to register with your ID, and you could get services pre and postnatal. And so it actually happened. What we are trying to understand now is whether the current one, Linda Jamii, what we have understood so far, that is not the same. It is not the same. There are payment requirements. First one being that you must be fully paid up under SHA, and that there is still, for your birth delivery, there's still an amount that you must pay in order for you to then go into hospital.
Well, the former president criticized the Ruto administration for replacing Linda Mama, and his argument is, well, you're bringing something new, something untried, something that has not been tested. And this then erodes the gains that his administration had made, and a lot of women, pregnant women, mothers, had enjoyed the services back then. But then the politicization of this later, that look, we still have Linda Jamii. So what we did, we just expanded it. But you're not really saying, so fine, you took Linda Mama, the whole concept program, then you added other things, but then are the benefits the same? What does it take for then a mother to still enjoy and access the same services? Then it looks like clearly from the comments that you've been reading, things are different.
Very different. Yeah, very different.
And I think it's not just a conversation to end there, because then again, if you look at the numbers in terms of maternal mortalities that you're recording now, and asked the question, is it because we've made it difficult for women to access services? Can we trace it back to that?
All right, so if we're saying that we're dealing with a superior system now, we need to look into this a little bit more. And of course, it's another conversation that will come through and have, and just for us to really understand what's going on and what mothers can actually do going towards childbirth and how they can get that sorted out. So we'll have that conversation. Necessary for us to continue that. Now we're going to segue to another one, and our guest is here. Umulkhair Harun is nominated member of parliament, and she joins us this morning at this hour. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. And how are you?
Very well.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Well, we're glad to have you here finally. So for the few minutes that we have left in this conversation, we would like to first of all welcome you and have you tell us what you think about a proverb that Dennis is going to share from Comoros.
A proverb today comes from the island of Comoros, and it says, "The sun does not forget a village just because it is small." The sun does not forget a village just because it is small. How would you
I like that? I think it goes very well with whatever discussions we're about to have today. I mean, it doesn't choose where to shine, whether you're small or a big village. You're still equal at the end of the day. I like that.
All right, so let's talk about equality. And of course, there have been a number of conversations over the last couple of weeks, and they've gotten actually quite ugly. They've gotten quite sticky in terms of who is a Kenyan and who should be respected as a Kenyan or held sovereign as a Kenyan. And there have been divides there have been divides, and we can just go right into it and say truthfully that there have been questions about who the Kenyan Somali is, or whether they're Kenyans or whether they're masquerading as Kenyans, and it has brought a lot of vitriol, especially over the internet, amongst people who are saying, actually, no, they don't belong. Others are saying, well, we are Kenyans just like the rest. Where's all of this coming from? And why is it important that we look into it?
Normally, when I introduce myself, I don't tell people I'm a Kenyan Somali. I just tell them I'm Kenyan. Then when they ask me, I tell them I'm Kenyan and I come from the Somali community. And that's because I think we all had a subject called, I think some people did GHC. I don't know, we did social studies. We were taught all the communities that live in this country. And for whatever reason, there is a very high level of ignorance. It could be deliberate ignorance. It could be because it's a narrative that has to be driven. But it shocks me when people start questioning, who is this person? Are you a Kenyan Somali, or are you Somalian from Somalia? You know, but I kind of understand where the whole discussion is coming from. And I try to look at everything historically and try to contextualize it historically. We come from a clan or a community that has been sidelined for a very long time, and I love the Constitution. It really brought everybody to the same level, sort of like the sun that shines in that small village. The Constitution allowed everybody to have a platform. Even that smallest community is recognized. And what that does is it gives you the platform to thrive. And we've had, I think, everything boils down to political goodwill. And we have regimes that have been very deliberate in sidelining these small communities. So when the Constitution came, it had to protect everybody regardless of where they come from. So we had something called the Equalization Fund that allows funds to go down to the smallest places. It had the 47 affirmative seats where representation came from all those clans that were never seen before. And I think slowly things started changing. You would see the small communities holding positions in government here and there. But the boil up and what we are seeing now is probably a regime that has made deliberate efforts to recognize and, choose to work with this particular group of people. And I think that's what's causing all this tension. Then we had the Somali, our neighboring country, in 1991 when their country collapsed and we had to host a lot of refugees in our country, and most of them settled or were put in Garissa County, Turkana County at that time.
Folks who settled from Somalia?
Yes.
After the conflict?
There was an arrangement with the Kenyan government, and we set up the refugee camps. And how do you identify Umi, who's a Kenyan, and Umi, who is a refugee? So if you decide to use your eyes to decide if this is a Kenyan citizen, that would be very hard for you. But we have the national ID cards, we have our documentations. But I think it all comes down to resources. How are resources being shared? Before, the political goodwill was not there to support and work with these communities. And here is a regime that has given us the platform. So you would see a docket like NIS being headed by a Somali, or you would see a docket like EACC being headed by like a Somali.
As we are seeing now.
As we are seeing now.
Yes.
And it's not because the president decided to appoint his friends. I think these are people with institutional memory. If you look at the biography of somebody like CEO Abdi Amas, he comes from my clan, so I would know how far he's come through the ranks. He was a police officer, joined the system, grew through the ranks. What would happen in previous regimes, and this is when I talked about political goodwill, is they would appoint an external person because they work or they favor that particular. But this is a regime that has decided, we work with somebody who has institutional memory. And then suddenly the uproar is, why are we putting Somalis everywhere? But why would you not say the same thing when there were other clans holding the same positions? And I don't like to make this example, but look at whoever headed NSIS before, who headed the DCI before, you would never hear the conversation of why is this clan holding the same position. But now suddenly it's because a community that was never seen in the limelight is now taking over everything. The discussion now changes. And when you find a discussion that has no substance, it comes down to petty things. So this is a conversation of people talking about things simply because it fits the narrative at that time. And I think that's why we are seeing why we are seeing. You wouldn't find intellectuals or professionals having such discussions. Sometimes it's just, it's the exciting thing to talk about. And if it works with the narrative, go with it. But at the end of the day, my message always remains, Kenya is bigger than this tribal messaging. Kenya has a long way to go. We didn't fight for our constitution. We didn't shed blood just so that we can come and point out and say, why is this person holding this position? It beats logic. The entire reason we have the constitution is to allow everybody to come to the platform. And when we get to the platform, I wouldn't have any issue with Turkana getting that same position. I like that IEBC has completely changed. I mean, who is the chair for IEBC as we speak? Those are things that were never happening before. So political goodwill is also a good way to hold and uphold whatever the constitution has envisioned, and I like the direction that it's taking. So the rest, just petty narratives, to be honest. I actually don't like dwelling in such arguments.
So why do we talk about it?
Because it's something that...
Are we saying it's not important, that people feel a certain type of way? It doesn't matter who it is.
But who is talking about it? That's my point. Who is talking about it?
So you're saying the who that's talking about it matters or doesn't matter in this case, that if it's not somebody who's a mover or shaker, that if they do have an opinion about a certain thing, that if they're not an influencer in terms of government, that it doesn't matter what their opinion is?
The Kenyans' opinions keeps changing, and if you look at our data usage as a country, we are one of the highest countries that are chronically online. And online conversations keep changing. If it is a conversation that sparks or that is trending, you would find a lot of discussions moving in that direction. But is it important that what we are talking about is leading us to that direction, or is it going to divide the country? So where you base your arguments and look at the outcomes at the end of the day matters. For me, it's not bringing anything important to the table. It's not bringing the country together. It's just vilifying and targeting a certain group of people, and because of that, I don't pay attention to it. You would never find me online fighting back or defending my position because somebody called me a refugee. I just brush it off, and because at the end of the day, I know I have my identity. I know I'm as Kenyan as you could be, so why do I have to feed into that conversation? But any other thing that matters, that is what we need to focus on. So for me, my point or my message at the end of the day is, I don't think it's something that we need to dwell on to a point where, and I keep saying this, media shapes a lot of narratives. If the media picks up a discussion around that, are you feeding into the conversation? Are you helping it? You get my point? And a lot of times you would find the tabloids or the small blogs picking up a hateful comment and it spreads, but what message are we putting out there? So
there is the subject of equality in the country, and one would look at, let's take the northern part of the country, for example, a part of the country that has been marginalized for a very long time. And President William Ruto comes in and let's make it easy for everybody to access ID. That is a part of conversation that has never been there for a long time. But that notwithstanding, you would also find conversations that do take place in the sense that we have recently Kenyan, Somali. What the hell is that? That's the question that I even struggle myself, because if you're Kenyan, you're Kenyan. But where is this coming from? Do people from the north that border Somalia feel Somalia is home or Kenya is home? Because that is pretty much what everyone wants to understand.
Let me explain this in a very, because I've tried to break it down as much as I could. We need to think thematically more than we need to look at things episodically. And this brings me back to the online narrative.
Yes.
What is driven online? Is it something that could trend? For example, if today we have a crazy innovation and at the same time the president has appointed an El Molo person, what conversation would trend? You get my point? And I think it again boils down to there's this what is it called, data farming and engagements, and it would trend more to discuss these things because again everything has been monetized, so whatever catches the headlines, whatever catches the blogs, that's where our energy goes into. And I think it boils down, it brings down our thinking and our what is it called, how we reason as a country. I stopped using Twitter. There was a time Twitter used to be where you would get, that tangible conversation. But nowadays I look at it and I just think, no, I don't think I want to expose myself to this because it keeps killing your thinking capacity. You find conversations that are not really healthy, so you just shut off. So that is how things are looked at episodically. It is trending, let's hit it. But I mentioned political goodwill. You remember Wagala massacre, I think. And I read a comment that said, now I know why Moi put these people in a camp and killed them. Do you know how that would feel if you are somebody who comes from that region, for example? And I'm thinking, is this what I really want? And I don't take the assumption that this is the thinking of every other Kenyan. I just know this is this individual's thinking, not bold enough to use their actual account but hide behind a pseudo and spread this narrative because that feeds into it.
And I think, Umi, I think that's the issue.
That's the issue
with what you said. And if we can look at it in this manner whereby we can't ignore the problem away, or we can't run away from the problem, and by the time you hear people speaking in the manner that they do.
But why are they speaking now?
Hang on.
Now.
That there is... No, it's not just now. People have been speaking for a very long time.
Since when?
So by the time somebody is speaking out, this is an outward expression of an inward rumbling that is happening. So we can't water it down and have people just say, well, I'm going to stay off Twitter or I'm not going to pay attention to it.
But what do you do?
So the examples that you had given before about previously where a certain tribe of people had been hired, it was an issue for people. It was wrong then. Today, it is not right either, as somebody has just told me this morning. So then there was an issue, there's still a problem now, it just happens to be somebody else. We can't ignore away the problem or stay away from the arena where it's being discussed. Because guess what? Whether there is an episode today or there's an episode next year, the internal rumblings will still come to the fore. So how about we deal with the issue?
But how do you deal with...
That's why we have this conversation. How do we deal with the issues?
What I've tried to explain is give a breakdown of exactly what guides us as a country. We're not guided by emotions. We're not guided by... individual whims. We're guided by a document called the Constitution of Kenya.
We should be guided by the Constitution.
Ideally. And I think things move the way they do because we have this guiding document that tells you have all these particular, including the Indians,
Asians.
The Asian community are actually part of the Kenyan community. That's the thing. And I think some time back, I don't know what contest was happening, and the winner ended up being a Kenyan of Asian descent, and somebody in the comments said, we don't have enough Kenyans, why are we being represented by Indians? So my question is, don't we acknowledge that we have other communities that exist amongst us as a country? We are over 44 tribes, I think. We are a big country that is very diverse. And political goodwills are why changes happen, because the Constitution cannot be implemented without the goodwill of the political class. And it is us to practice nationalism. It is us to practice good messaging so that wherever we do or however we carry ourselves as the political leaders of this country, we are bringing people together and we are bringing the message of unity. if as a politician I take a platform and say, why are you doing this? Is it because you come from this clan? I'm not bringing the right attitude to this kind of conversations, because politics is very emotive. The same way tribe is very emotive. The same way land issues are emotive. And how we handle such matters decides what we can and can't do. Look at the history of Rwanda, for example. Look at the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. Because the political leadership feeds into these conversations. Where I come from and where I sit as two things, as a person who comes from the northern community and as a leader, I don't like to entertain this conversation. What I try to do is educate people. Look, we've had challenges. For example, I took 2 years to achieve my ID. Do you know why it took me this long to achieve my ID? Because I had to prove to people that I'm actually Kenyan. And once you try to educate people in that manner, without feeding into the narrative or without being very emotional and saying, if you call me this and I call you that, we are not helping. And that's why I said on Twitter, whenever I get these hateful comments, I just shut off, because I'd rather give you the platform to understand what's happening as a country. Historically, we've had Wagala massacre during, I think, the Moise regime. We've had the Garissa massacre during the Moise regime as well. We've had the rounding up of Somalis in, I think, Kasarani during Uhuru's regime. All this was led by knee-jerk reactions. These Somalis, these Somalis, these Somalis. You get my point? We have communities that also come from the border areas. Do you ever hear of a Maasai saying, I'm a Kenyan Maasai? But you see, Maasais are found in Tanzania, they are found in Kenya. Somalis are found in Somalia, they are found in Djibouti, they are found in Ethiopia, they are found in Kenya. Why do we have to identify ourselves as a Kenyan Somali?
Let me ask you a question that's coming from folks, because like you said, some things are episodic, but in this case, they're not episodic. They are latent in the minds of people, right? So it's not one thing that brought it about. That we see trends over time, whether you want to talk about certain things like the appointments of people in key positions, whether you want to talk about the commercial business angle of things, where we've seen that huge influx of this kind of business in certain parts, especially in the capital.
Remind me to make a comment on that.
You will in just a minute. Even when there has been things like equalization that took part in other parts of the country, why the insistence from this particular community into many parts of the business commercial districts of Nairobi. All right. And that the overall imagined thought is that whereby you may hold, one may hold a Kenyan ID, that the allegiance is still with Somalia. These are the thoughts. They are not, they've not been brought about by AI. It's not a robot. These are blood-thumping human beings who have this thinking in their minds. How would you comment on that?
Again, I come back to the same comment of who exactly is a Kenyan and who is not. I, as a Kenyan, know for a fact that I don't need to prove my identity to anybody. I think recently what sparked this debate was the young boys who were stamping on the Kenyan flag. That really infuriated me a lot, because I would fight for my country anytime. I would really protect the interests of my country. So seeing that, again, boils down to how many people do we have in this country who are not Kenyan? During the football games that were happening, you would find every country would have their people in the what is it called? I think the Madagascar game had people from the country. The same way the Somali fans had their people coming to the pitch. If this is a Somali who offended our flag as a Kenyan, why balkanize the blame and put it into one and say these Somalis are not loyal? The Kenyan Somalis were there fighting, representing, cheering their country. The same way the Somali nationals were cheering their country. My argument is the balkanization is because there's a general assumption that every Somali who lives in this country is not a Kenyan. And that is my point. This is a challenge that has existed. Why we are as loud or as visible as we are now is just, the fact that we have the platform to thrive. like I said, political goodwill never existed. But as a culture, and this is how we move as a Somali people, if I have whatever little resources I have today, we pull resources through marriage, we pull resources through our big families that we have. I mean, even from how we eat, we don't eat from separate plates. We eat through a sinia. That's because the culture has ingrained us to move together. You would find, if I am able to get this platform, I would pull up a sibling of mine. And pulling of resources, we don't rely very much on banks. And if you look at the business community that exists today, first, they even have a business community where anybody who enters that platform registers with that community. Quick loans are accessible. Quick support is accessible. How you pull resources makes you move a bit faster. And I liked some time back, there was a gentleman who was explaining how the Somalis do their businesses. Why we are bold and we are visible now is because we've reached a time where our resources are more than enough to be able to pull us up as a community. But it boils down to, I mean, the conversation again goes back to, this is the money that has come from northeastern Kenya. Northeastern is not the only county that is corrupt. We have very many corrupt counties or scandals that have happened. But why is it that everything that happens triggers back to uyu ni Mkenya ama uyu ni wetu? That is what I'm trying to fight. I'm trying to tell my fellow countrymen that we exist as a community, just like they exist through their communities. It shouldn't be that we have to feed this monster, because what do we do at the end of the day? We lose a big chunk of our resources. 82% of this land belongs to the so-called smaller communities. These are people we need to work with. We have grown as a country. The Constitution has given us that platform. After devolution, a lot of resources has gone down to that small community, that small village. And anybody who gets whatever little amount of resources, whether they get it through fraudulent means or through pulling resources together, at least something has changed. And that's why things are moving the way they're moving. Add on to the political goodwill that's happening. The thought should not be that this clan is benefiting. The conversation should shift to how exactly do we promote nationality without vilifying anybody. And I think that's what I really want to emphasize on this interview, that historically marginalization has happened, but after 2010, a bit of independence has been achieved. Whatever goodwill that comes with whatever regime, it could be another president that can come and say, you know what, we would be able to make this appointment in this manner. You know, yes, it has happened before. I agree with that, that when a section of people were benefiting, the rumblings were there. But what is really adding on to the pressures now is the toxic conversation, because digital presence exists now. We have the internet where these conversations are now happening. Kitambo, it used to be radio. You will not find somebody coming to radio to spew hate. But we are in the era of digital media where everybody has a platform, everybody is a journalist, everybody can share their media. My message is, let's use our online tools in a right manner that brings the country together without, bring all these divisions.
You know, what you're saying, and I hear you, and the unfortunate thing is this conversation will never end, not even in the near future. The reason is there is a very layered historical issues, right from governance to security. I've been to Somalia several times. Yeah. I've gone to the Dadaab refugee camp a few times. I've gone through Garissa, making my way there a few times. The realities are, and I've covered stories where you will find illegal or Somalis who are crossing the border from Somalia through the refugee camps to Isli, Nairobi, and other parts of the country illegally, ended up acquiring identity cards through corrupt means. It's a fact. Yeah. So then you get to a point where the conversation then is, okay, are you Kenyan because you have an identity card which was acquired illegally? And therefore, are you Somali, or are you Kenyan Somali? And the reason I said this, the history is so layered, is if we go back very, very quickly, looking at, because you've mentioned Wagala massacre, before that massacre actually, you're looking at a time, and this was before even colonization, before the British even came to this country.
Yeah.
I've read my history, and where Somalis then, the indigenous presence of Somalis in northern Kenya was as a result of migration, because Somalis were essentially pastoralists. So you're moving through, you said Ethiopia, Djibouti, and all these other countries, the northern part of the country, and the migration was very, very open. Then the 1952, I think, is when we started having the boundaries. We didn't draw these boundaries ourselves. So by the time the boundaries are being drawn, then you have the Northern Frontier District that then had the Somalis, the Somalis there. But where the issue then comes in, you remember the Shifter War?
Yeah.
So where you have the Shifter War is where now, after Kenya's independence, Somalis are feeling, you know what? Let's push to join our Somali Republic. Let's secede from Kenya. And that created that belt. And the problem started now, the allegiance, okay, so you're within the Kenyan border, but you want to secede from Kenya because you want to go back to Somalia. And the Shifter War escalated. You're shaking your head.
I disagree with that narrative.
Okay.
Totally.
You're disagreeing with history, or you disagree
No. I disagree because, history depends on who's sharing that history. If we argue from the basis of migration, everybody migrated from somewhere, including a country like the United States of America. Nobody owns that land. Somebody came from somewhere, settled there. So before the borders were drawn, and I think in history they used to call that the sphere of influence, where the colonialist would lay and say this belongs to this whatever. Somalia actually was under the colonization of the Italians. We were under the colony of the British. The borders were only drawn, but that didn't mean the communities didn't live here before. The war happened if you look at the history. I totally
agree with you. I'm referring to the Shifter War.
The Shifter War was in the 90s. Somali people were in Northeastern.
Why was there a Shifter War?
It had nothing to do with us wanting to secede. It was the historical injustices that were happening. You could not move anywhere without the Kipanda system, where you have to show who you belong to. My grandfather had a red ID card where he had to show, whenever police would come banging on his door, to show, okay, look, I have this document. Yeah. This was way before. The Shifter War happened recently in the 90s when the Somali community came and settled in Kenya through the refugee.
Do you know the Shifter between 1963 and 67? Not the 90s.
Okay.
63 and 67. There was a Shifter War. And the Shifter War, and this is history.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, but it depends on how you want to use that history. Every community immigrated into this country. Kenya has many diverse people. If we go through that argument, and I don't want to make my comments in that angle, everybody came from somewhere. But we are a country that have different clans, and we are diverse in that angle. Historically, I think they would tell you we were a gift from Jubaland. I think that's where you want to take the
No. Where I was taking my conversation, Uma, with all due respect, was what Undu earlier referred to.
Yeah.
There is always this feeling that, so for example, during the protests, the people are arguing, look, okay, we're protesting, people are raising Kenyan flags, but from one community you're seeing the Somali flag, for example. There is this current Free Palestine conversation. Again, people we see predominantly around that conversation, again, are the Somalis.
The
Muslims, Somalis. And the reason I'm saying the reason I'm saying this conversation may not end is, like you said, and I agree with you, is then understanding the history of where we are coming from, the things that we had to deal with, and the things that you had to deal with, and the things that you had to endure, and what you're talking about, marginalization, for example, to the point where it took 2 years to get an ID card, is understanding where these people then coming from, separate those issues from the politics of, okay, the people who are also in the country illegally, for example. The way we have Congolese who are in Kenya illegally. We have people from Burundi who are in Kenya
from different countries,
and they're doing business, and they're here illegally. You know.
You see, for me, my simple question is, as we have this conversation today, Kenyans from different communities and the Somali, how do they engage? How would you say Somali community
I would know that, by the way.
in the country engage with the other Kenyans from other communities.
Yeah. Let me be honest with you, and let me just tell you what exactly happens. Forget Wajir County, forget Mandera County, Garissa County. We had, I think, the attack that happened in 2015 at Garissa University, which was very unfortunate. And immediately that attack happened, I remember I was traveling to Nairobi a few weeks after, and I was stopped 5 times between Garissa to Nairobi. Before you cross to Nairobi, we have the Tana River Bridge, which then shows you've crossed to the other side of your county. As soon as we started moving, we had roadblocks in every stop, and they kept asking me, and picture this, it's a public transport. I was traveling with a non-Somali person, and I had to alight the bus, show my ID. They would even mulika it like this, and then mulika my thumb to check if it is actually real. And I was a serious activist. I think I still am. And I asked the officer, why are you not checking his document? And he said, "Uyu ni Mkenya." That's a police officer, somebody who's been trained to understand that, we have different kinds. And you see, these are things that have fed into the narrative over time and over time. The challenge is because we host the refugee community. Essentially, everything boils down to nationalism.
Okay.
I, as a leader, must be proud of my country. If I am that person who's appointed as a chief, need to be proud of his country and protect his or her country. If I am a police officer, I need to protect my country. The conversation should not be about how would an illegal acquire a document. It is not me, the Somali person, giving them the document.
But this is the thing, and
it
I
is
just
a
want
system.
Let's feed into that, because this is the thing about stereotype, the thing about prejudice, and also to an extent, to a very large extent, is that it is based on an element, no matter how thin, of some kind of truth. All right?
Yeah.
That if I have formed a narrative in my head, just like you said, it has come from somewhere.
Yeah.
With the examples that he's given, that there have been people who have come into Kenya who are Somali and have gotten IDs in an illegal manner and have come into the capital city and have built businesses.
Just like other illegals.
Allow me to finish. And have continued to build business from that. So if we were talking about other illegals in Burundi, then that would be the conversation. Today, we are talking about the Somali perspective, which has also been the topic of some friction in the last few days. All right? Now, these stereotypes, this prejudice, as is normal, is built on an element of truth. It has come from somewhere. And the way to deal with it is to deal with that somewhere. That has it happened? Yes, to accept that it has happened. So how do you deal with it today if there are not people who are still fueling that by current? This thing of buying IDs is not history. It is present. This corruption that you're speaking of happens today.
But again, whose fault is it? It's not the fault.
I don't think you can put it on one person.
No. It's hear my argument, please. I'm saying, if we are fighting illegal people coming into our country, first let's eliminate the assumption that every Somali is illegal.
Which was my point. That prejudice is built on an element of truth. It is not universal in nature.
Let's start there. The same way we have any other illegals in the country, we could have, at the end of the day, we are Africans and every land belongs to us. But for us to protect our identities, we live through the countries that we live in. Eventually, people move, people intermarry. Somalis are the point of focus because they have become so bold, I think, in whatever spheres they work in or they operate in. My argument comes down to, we have one common agenda to fight as a country, not focusing on whichever tribe, whichever whatever. If we have weakened systems, if we have if we continue offending our constitution, we will have all sorts of problems. It all boils down to how patriotic you are as a person. I, as a leader, have to be patriotic. When I come to media, as a staff or as a media person or whichever position I hold, I need to stay patriotic. The messaging, the way we place our words, the way we speak about issues should be a manner that promotes nationalism. If we don't, then things become, disorganized, and we lose the whole point of why we need to build our country together. The point comes down to corruption. Do we have illegals who've acquired IDs? Yes. But is it their fault? We need to blame ourselves as a country.
Yeah, this is obviously a conversation
it comes down to a corruption issue.
Okay.
But we don't need to go on the offense. And putting the Somali community on the spotlight. Everybody earns their positions or whatever they do because they deserve it. They are allowed to be there. If we have any other clan that comes to the limelight, like the Somali community, we will not go back to this conversation of saying, where have these people come from? No, they belong. And that's what we need to feed into. And my advice and my guidance, especially to media, when the narrative takes this angle, let's take the time to educate the public on what is important. Otherwise, I don't like where this conversation is going, honestly. It beats logic to even... Anyway.
Obviously a conversation that needs more time to then be able to... We should have started this show with us that we started at 7. We will obviously look to have it in a more... with more time, obviously, because we can't run away from the truths. We can't run away from the truths, and that people are thinking and having those conversations for themselves. We want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. Glad to have you on the show today. Nominated Member of Parliament Umul Khair Harun has been our guest this hour. Thank you for being in the Situation Room. It's 8 minutes past 8. Conversations continue after this.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM. .5 Spice FM. Kisumu.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, staki kuongea today. Conversations have to be had,
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that I hate in our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing policy of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing policy of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, we're coming into things. It's 17 minutes after 8 o'clock. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation, and it's Wednesday. So we go into the Spice Baraza this morning, and we get into a number of conversations absolutely necessary then for us to do. And our panel is already getting seated, and we're getting into this. We're going to look at access to education on this special Spice Baraza. And even as we do, we still are not letting go of this basket of goodies that you have for us, Dennis.
Yes, and when we talk about goodies, we're talking about getting good, faster, reliable connectivity at home. This is the Safaricom Home Fiber. We've had a very, very beautiful, great campaign, and it's not over yet. So what I'm going to say is just stay tuned, because there is so much more that you're going to share in terms of discounts that will be coming a bit later on. Speaking of getting connected, the 25% discount that we're getting, well, that's over, but you can still get connected. And among other things that you're going to enjoy, of course, is free installation. And apart from free installation, you can also use your bonga points to pay, because it's end month and a lot of people are paying their bills and all that. Safaricom is giving you an option where you can actually then be able to redeem your bonga points and pay for your Safaricom Home Fiber. How do you do this? Simply dial *126# or visit my Safaricom app. And if you still want to get that router, because the installation is free, the whole thing is free, you only get to pay for the package. Again, all you need to do is dial *400# or visit my Safaricom app for that immediate connection.
Fantastic stuff. And just speaking about how you're then able to get through on your education and all of that, this is a conversation that we have this morning. Our Spice Baraza, of course, happening every Wednesday, where we look at issues, and we're talking about issues that are actually alive on the ground, and then being able to interrogate these a little bit more. So our panel is already seated here. We'll get into that in just a minute. But then also we are joined and will be joined by a number of others. Claudia Lagat is the Associate Program Officer with Policy Engagement at the Usawa Agenda. Good morning, Claudia.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Also, Mwalimu Amunga is an education advocate and researcher at Kewata. He's also here. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you all.
Good to see you. Karibu sana. Is Eric Ambuche here? He is also the founder of the Slums Outreach Program. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. And of course, everybody else who's here. Good morning. Habari zenu?
Nzuri sana.
Karibuni sana. Asante sana for joining us this morning. Thank you for being able to do this. Why we have this Spice Baraza is for us to be able to look in depth and talk to the situations on the ground. We can sit on a pedestal sometimes and we can have conversations where we really don't understand what is really going on. So we will talk about those issues. They might be uncomfortable, they might be celebratory, but we'll do it anyway. And so that's why we do this today. We would like, maybe we'll just do this with Claudia this morning. Dennis is going to share a proverb, and it might actually give us some insight into what we'll discuss today. Proverb is from Comoros. We'd love to get your interpretation of it.
So the Comoros people who are known for the resources when it comes to making perfume, fragrance, vanilla comes from that country. And it is a country as well who depends on remittances from citizens from that country who live outside, who send money back home to help push the economy. But let's go to the proverb today. The sun does not forget a village just because it is small. The sun does not forget a village just because it is small. How would you interpret that?
I would interpret it as a way of having ingrown solutions and being able to look back and support initiatives where we are. So that we are not looking externally for support, but what can we do to support the people where we've come from? Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Interesting. That we need to look at what solutions we have, that nothing is too small to be considered.
Indeed. All right. We want to know what's happening with the state of education in the country for us to understand it from the people's point of view. But then also to then get some guidance in terms of then what should be the case. And maybe things are going on very well. And it's also for us to have an understanding. We know from a public point of view, the government tells us all the time that everything is going on great, that things have moved, and that children are being educated, and the systems are working. All right. We want to hear. Somebody also challenged us one day, and they said, you guys are sitting in an office somewhere high up there and talking about these things, but you have no idea what is really happening with the children who have to go to school every day. You have no idea. You think that there are students, 40 of them in a class, taught by a teacher and their assistant. They have access to books and they're okay. But the majority are in a different situation. So let's get a bit of that understanding in terms of what's really happening in the positions. And I'll hand over to you, Dennis, to let us know what's going on first.
Yeah, so I think let's just get the feeling from us here. So you could go first, just explain to us the situation in Kovipiko ground. Is it as we are told by the government, or what exactly are the parents feeling, including teachers and students themselves?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Ambuche, and without much ado, I'll go straight to what's happening on ground. And I'll talk from the ground of Mukuru, where I come from. And the reason I'm here is because I've been highlighting the inequalities that do exist in the Embakasi South, to be specific. So when you hear that this is the ratio, the UNESCO ratio between a teacher and the pupil, which is 1 to 40, in Mukuru it is not that way. You'll find that the two public schools that we have there, the ratio is 1 to 100. So some of these things, as you highlight them here at the top, on ground is different.
1 to 100 what, Sambuche? One teacher to 100 students.
And even there are classes with 105. So you can imagine, I know I've been in classrooms whereby the teacher has only the space to stand and teach, but she or he cannot move around the classroom to check what is happening. So you can imagine what is happening there. Then the mushrooming of upbet schools.
What is upbet?
These informal schools. I hope Mungai understands that better. These the mushrooming of those informal schools. They are in hundreds. They're in hundreds, and they do not follow the required checklist, the recommended standards. Whereby a school has no playground, a school has no even space for a flagpole, or even a pail to put some flowers. So you'll find that on Wednesday or Fridays, kids lining up to travel to walk for 3 kilometers to look for open space. This is the real situation in Mukuru.
Eric, are those umezita aje?
Upbet.
You've said they're informal and they're mushrooming all over the place. Are they recognized by the government?
Yeah,
are they following the government curriculum?
What happens, I did highlight this story to the CS, Mr. Gamba. That was last year, around November, when the case Form 4s were facing their exams. I did highlight that to Mr. CS Ogamba. What he did, he tasked a few guys for like 3 days, and they did a research in Embaka South. And the report they gave to him was that they wanted to save their job and their image. They did not give him the right story about
Who wanted to save their job?
Huh?
Who wanted to save their image and their jobs?
The education officials. The education officials.
From the constituency.
Embaka South.
So what was the issue that necessitated that report?
That things were not going right as far as the schools are supposed to be run. That we are having so many schools without following the required threshold.
So hizo shule ziko recognized by the government ama hapana?
Recently, 2 weeks ago, I did visit even the education office. And I thank God I met 2 ladies who are from the what we call QS, the quality assurance. And I asked them, are you aware of these GIS schools that exist in the slums? They said they know, but accessibility is a challenge to them. They can't access those. And remember, I'm talking to these are the QS, but they can't access those schools. So I asked them, have you accredited them? They said those schools are not accredited. And I told them, how come that our children are in those schools? If you haven't accredited them, then why are they running?
So let me just get it. So it is a school that is students are inside.
Yes.
Students can access it.
Yes.
But quality assurance cannot access
are unable to access those schools.
And at the end of the day, these same students will sit the same exams as all the other students.
The same exam, if it's KJSA from NEC, they will sit for that exams.
How do you have a school that is not accredited, sit an exam, and then there will be results which will be sent into a system which is not accredited, and these students will somehow be... I'm confused.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I can shed some little light on this. My name is Mungai Hanyalabandu. I have worked with a group called Bridge International Schools Academies, and what my brother Ambuche is talking about, Eric, is about alphabet schools. These are alternative schools that actually, okay, they may not be recognized officially, but they are allowed to operate by government. Government knows they exist. Because in a slum area like Mukuru, where our brother is talking about, where he operates from, you can't be able to register a school. A school, you need enough playing ground, you need enough registered teachers, you need all these things possible put together. That's when a school gets recognized officially and given a license to operate. There are regulations for a school to operate. Now, what happens in a place like Mukuru, like Madare, like most slums, even in Kisumu, I worked in Kisumu, what happens is that there's not enough ground, there's no space for this kind of schools to operate. Even the government itself, as it puts it, in a population like in Madare slums, with a population of almost 200, something like that, 1,000, you may discover government has only 2 schools, public schools. Now that means alternative schools have to be brought in. Most times they start as ECD, like nursery schools, but they develop, they continue to offer up to where we have national exams.
And who owns these schools?
Now these schools most times are owned by individuals and some organizations, like now what I'm calling the Bridge International Academies. They'll come in to offer alternative. They discuss with government. Government knows them. You cannot say they are not, okay, they don't have the license to operate, but they are recognized as alternative. They can be able to give children or learners access to education. Now,
yes, before you continue.
Yes, please.
They do not have license to operate, but they're operating anyway. They have been recognized. So for a school to operate, there are some quality checks that they have to meet for them to be registered. So my question then is, if you look at the 2 schools, say, that are in Embakasi South and compared to the Upbed that do not have all these other facilities, do we worry or do we care about the quality of education we're giving to these children? Or are we just in terms of, let us tick the boxes because the Constitution says every child has the right to education? Does quality matter?
Yes, I will. Okay, since I have the mic, let me say this. So the quality, this is what happens. The people who are offering this alternative, they are the ones, again, most times, who try to help the government. Actually, this is an assistance to the government. Alternative schools are kind of helping the government to provide education in the slum. Okay. They regulate themselves almost. They go about looking for their own type of teachers. Like the bridge academies that I worked with would actually come up with a way of teaching methodology that was a bit different from the regular school. They had their own research. They even had funding from the World Bank. I want to say this also. These upbed schools, as much as they are sometimes individually owned, sometimes they also have recognition from world bodies who understand the need for education in those areas that government is not providing. Now, my brother, when you talk about quality in such a situation or access to education, these schools are what I will call like say in Nairobi town, we have got matatus. Some time back, we had even government transport. But we have people provide transport that are not, maybe, for example, they may not be having all the licenses, they may not be having the PSV license, but they are able to provide transport. Now,
until you get an accident,
but until something happens,
insurance.
And that is the problem. For upbed schools, until something happens, they are operating.
I think we'd like to hear from folks around us and see exactly what the situation is on ground when we're sending children to school and finding out what, if this actually is an alternative or what exactly is happening. Then we'll come back to Claudia and find out, okay, so how should we be operating? So let's hear from some of us here. School, what is it like in the areas where we are this morning? Just tell us your name, sir, and
just stand so that I can see you. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Can I stand?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. So my name is Dennis Baraza. Venye ndugu zangu wamesema, kuna vitu wanasema lakini they are not right. Like for Embaka Assist, let's go for specifically Lower Savannah. They have just one public school. One, Edivale. So imagine a whole ward, just one. Upper Savannah have one, Donholm Primary.
When you say one, iko na population ya watoto wangapi? That one school.
Sorry?
Population.
Like 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah. Then when you go there, na hiyo si ati ndio watoto wako hiyo ward peke yao. There are so many. So imagine if a school iko hivyo, na tena pia kuingiza mtoto kwa hiyo shule is another ni kama kuenda kutafuta kazi tena.
Kwa nini?
Kwa sababu lazima ukuwe na pesa extra ndio uingize huyo mtoto kwa hiyo shule. You must be
ngoja kidogo. So ndio kweli kwa ground So uko na mtoto ama uko na watoto kwa nyumba, unataka waanze shule. So unaenda kwa hii shule moja peke yake that is supposed to serve over 10,000 umesema. So unakutana na mwalimu mkuu. Ama whoever is in charge, administrator. So unataka watoto waingie shule. Hiyo process inakuangaje?
Now the process is very hectic. Hata unaweza achana nayo heri upeleke mtoto kwa hiyo shule yenye haina karatasi.
What?
Let me tell you now. Because at the end of the day, wazazi wenye wako hapa watakubaliana na mimi. I better nipeleke mtoto wangu kwa hiyo shule yenye haina karatasi kushinda kwenda kwa hiyo shule yenye ya public school.
Why?
Because the public school, one, wanasema is free, but it's not free. Because first I must have like 10,000 cash ya kuhonga kwanza.
Ya kuhonga mtoto
before I buy anything. Before I buy anything, before I pay desk, whatever and everything, I must have 10,000.
So who are you giving the
10,000 sasa?
Sasa unaona sasa hiyo ni the least I should have.
So hiyo 10,000, 20,000 ni ya kuhonga mwalimu mkuu.
Mpe, alafu akwambie desk ya mtoto ni hii. Haya mtoto na hiyo desk hakuna. Because venye tu amesema mtoto mwalimu mmoja atasimama kama nimesimama hapa na watoto wamekaa chini wote ama wamesimama wamefinyana mahali pamoja.
So but kuna kitu kingine utalipa?
And you have already paid for a desk.
What?
A desk.
So umelipa
any school, and anybody who is in this room can tell you that when you go to that school, you must pay for a desk.
Hiyo ni pesa ngapi?
Like 1,000.
So kuna hiyo 10,000 ya kuongana kwanza. Then another 1,000 in your desk.
Na then once the registration ulipe nini, that is telling you 20,000. You'll get
for everything. Inakuja saa 20,000.
You can pay 20,000. Na imagine sasa mtu anapeleka how big school, he'll just maybe 5,000 or 6,000. Then ameingiza mtoto school. Lakini as much as those things are not working. So even if we may say that those half big schools are not working and are illegal, but they're just alternative for us. And you look, even the government, they say that they are funding education in the budget. 675,000 billion is the financial year, in this financial year. But can we ask how much have they put in low education in primary?
I think that's a good question to ask.
Because even if you ask the Minister of Education, he'll tell you how funds, but how much? He'll just tell you. Hata even Ruto akisimama hapa atawaambia, Mr. President, a quarter or a third of the budget is for education. But education is not working. Let's be realistic now. It's not working. Because if you go for my word, it's just having one school, which is a public school. What do we need? What's the priority? Will you come and build us a road? Then we don't have a school.
Okay.
Then you are putting 675 billion on education that we are not seeing that amount going anywhere. Because at the end of the day, hiyo shule yenye hata iko mtaa, kitu anaweza fanya ni kupaka rangi. Si atu kuleta klasi ingine. Si kujenga ni kupaka. The last year, and you can and someone can be in this room and someone can do the investigation. Edville Primary, last year, in financial year, someone can go and check, even in CDF funds, what they did, walipaka rangi. The government never provided anything in that school. You see how that's now is a difficult situation where we are.
Budget imepitishwa.
Na budget imepitishwa. So what's the essence of us paying tax, then me kuweka mtoto wangu kwa shule ambayo haitanisaidia? As much as they saying everything is free, but at the end of the day, and then the what we call ECD. The county government should provide for us ECD classes, so that even kama tutapata ile advantage ya kwenda kwa hiyo development school, we should have an ECD class. We don't have even an ECD class.
Let's hear from some others if we want to know what the situation is actually. All right.
I think, and then let's hear from a lady as well later.
Hamjambo. Nadhani mimi nasikitika sana kwamba nimesimama hapa siku ya leo kuzungumza kuhusu elimu ambayo kikwangu mimi ninavyokuwa naiona imedorora mahali pakubwa sana. Naitwa Benson Mbulika Aziz. Na hii inatokana na kwamba mambo ambayo tunaambiwa kwamba yanafanyika huko kwenye runinga tunavyokuwa tunayaonaga ni sawa tu, tunaambiwa kwamba shule zinakwenda sawa, kila kitu kipo sawa, lakini hizi shule lazima uende ukaingie. Mimi nampeleka mwanangu skuli, nikaenda nikaambiwa haya, sasa yule ambaye utakwenda kumuona naibu wa mwalimu mkuu. Unakwenda kwa naibu wa mwalimu mkuu anakuambia hapana, mimi siwezi kuzungumza na wewe. Pale kile chumba kile kina mtu mwingine fulani, nenda kwanza kamuone. Anakuuliza, ameshafanya interview? Ndio, amefanya interview. Haya, amepasi yeye. Sasa huyo kwanza anakuambia simu yako kama unayo zima. Toa kile ambacho utatoa, umpe. Na hilo lipo hivyo kila sehemu, yani kila mtu anajua. Ukishampa kile ambacho unampa, haya anakuletea orodha ya vitu ambavyo unahitaji kununua. Anakuambia hapa kwanza leta dawati, unanunua dawati. Mimi nilinunua dawati shilingi 3,500. Moja tu. Na hilo dawati hakuikalia. Ikaja kuwa kwamba darasa lile ambalo walikuwa kisomea paa iliporomoka. Wakiwa wamo ndani paa ikaporomoka. Tukapigwa simu, oya vipi? Njooni kabisa, tulifanya mchango katika shule ya umma. Tulifanya mchango. Na tunaambiwa sijui kuna nini, kuna sijui inaitwa nini. Yaani unashangaa sisi katika shule za umma ambazo tunalipa ushuru, tusomeshe watoto bure bilashi. Ambiwa unakwenda tena unatoa hela nyingine, unaambiwa sijui vyoo havipo, vyoo vimeharibika. Tunasomesha watoto katika mazingira magumu, na tunashangaa kwamba shule ambayo anasoma binti yangu wanasoma wanafunzi wapo 69. katika darasa moja 69 chumba kimoja. Sasa unapata pana walimu wawili. Mwalimu mmoja lazima anawaambia yule ukopiga wengine kidede, keep quiet ili yule mwingine asomeshe. Maana wale ni watoto. Sasa unashinda huyu mwalimu mwingine kazi yake gani?
Benson,
tafadhali
kidogo.
Naam.
So, hili darasa lina wanafunzi umesema 69
ndio.
Okay, so 69 walimu ni wawili.
Walimu ni wawili.
So wamejigawa nusu kwa nusu, so ni subject mbili zinafunzwa at the same time ama kunaendaje?
Huyu mmoja ni kama ana control traffic vile. Kule kuambia oya, tulieni. Halafu ndio yule mwingine asomeshe. Hizi shule nakwambia ndugu yangu Dennis Okari zina matatizo. Na mimi mwenyewe sikuambii kitu ambacho labda nimeambiwa na mtu. Ninakwenda siku moja kwenda kumwona binti yangu katikati ya somo. Nikamwambia mwalimu nataka kidogo. Yani lile vurugu mechi katika hizi shule, hata sisi katika ubora na ubaya wa masomo ambayo tulisoma kipindi kile hatukuwa na changamoto kama tulizokuwa nazo sasa hivi katika madarasa yetu.
Na mwanawake kuja nyumbani katika hayo mazingira, kuna elimu yoyote ameipata ama ukizungumza naye unapata kuna kitu ameelewa ameshika darasani?
Sasa bahati mbaya bahati nzuri ni kwamba labda inabidi wengine tuwaajiri na walimu wengine ziada. Aje nyumbani, akija nyumbani anakutana na sasa huyu mwalimu aliyokuwa nyumbani huyu ndiye kidogo tunaona kwamba ni mwalimu. Wale wengine kazi zao ni kuja kuuliza oya hamkulipa sijui zile nini zile pesa za jioni zile remedial, na hizo pesa wanazidai kama madeni.
Remedial
wanadai hizo pesa kama madeni, kana kwamba mtu anakudai figo. Yani wana machungu sana hizo hela. Alafu bwana ukija kuchelewa tu mwalimu yeye anakukodoleje, unasema hivi
Benson. Umejiuliza if a remedial teacher ndio mwenye anafunza mwanao, mbona upeleke mtoto skuli? Have you ever asked yourself that question?
I have. Now, let me ask you, my brother, let me ask you like this. If the government has said that if you do not take your child to school, we shall come for you. It means the government is forcing us to do something whose benefit we do not even realize. Now, I'm forced to take my child not because I want to. I'm taking my child to school because it's protocol. It's that's the rule of the day. But if it were to be my choice, I would have rather sat at home with my daughter and taught her myself because I think I'm capable. Because if a teacher writing one sentence in English, this sentence is a comment in a child's diary. It has a grammatic mistake.
Then mwalimu?
Yes, and I didn't. I think I wish I did that. I came with that. So you realize this teacher, in that one sentence, if she or he can make a mistake, how many mistakes can he or she make while maybe correcting a child in a writing composition? We have a problem, and I think it's not even about these teachers. The whole system, I think, is rotten. Because if those days we used to have what we call education officers, they used to come to schools, maybe they talk to the teachers. Sometimes they used to come and take our books, go through. We don't see those things nowadays. People are talking about how can I be president in 2027? How am I going to get a tender from this place and this other place? We have left. We, the voters, are on our own. We, Wananchi, are on our own. And I think this is a mistake that we made for ourselves. We don't have to blame anyone, because when we go to the debe, we go and elect people who look like us, who think like us, who reason like us, who stay with us, who call themselves names that we are familiar with.
All right, let's hear from a lady here and just hear Anania kusema. Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Agnes. Mimi nasema ukweli. Niko na watoto. In 2022 nilienda hiyo shule moja kupeleka watoto. Nilitishwa 10,000 na desk.
Hiyo lower Savannah sasa. O upper Savannah.
Mukulu Jenga.
Okay.
10,000 niko na 3 kids. Sasa nikajiuliza hao watoto wote watatu nitatoa every kid 10,000 na desk 3,500 kila mtoto. Mimi nikaona badala ya kuenda pale kupeana hizo pesa, eli nikimbie pale private, hapo nitasota. Hata kama ni 3,000 ni 5,000, hapo kwanza waingie shule.
Nina swali mami. Hii hongo, because everybody is talking about 10,000, 20, it's like it's official.
Yes. It's
So hii pesa ukienda pale shuleni ni nani anakuitisha?
Unaitishwa hiyo. Ukienda
Ni nani yeye anakuitisha
pale
hapo
kwa
sasa?
headmaster, kuenda kuongea, unaambiwa kwanza kama huna hiyo 10k hakuna kuongea.
Yaani kufanya mkutano na headmaster,
Yes.
10,000 lazima kuwe nayo kando.
Ofisi. Hiyo 10,000 na desk.
This desk, sorry. E-desk. This desk is in this classroom where the mali mtoto ataenda kusoma. Ni yake. E-desk ni yake ama ni ya shule? So mkimaliza shule mnarudi na desk yenu ama mrudisha pesa ama ni nini?
It is like buying space.
All
No,
right.
3,500.
Yeah.
The desk space is 3,500. The
Separate from this
10,000
10,000 that you're paying this man to have a meeting with him.
The 10,000 is like a bribe for the headmaster to talk to you.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so now when we are asking this question about, so mtoto sasa ameingia shule juu ameona headmaster na 10,000 shillings, amelipa 3,500 shillings ndio waingie. Kuna pesa ingine mnaita?
Yes.
Gani hiyo?
Lemedio. Atakuwa anafukuzwa.
Tuition.
Hata saa hii tukikuja, hivi tunakuja. Tumepata watoto wa hizo public schools. Wako kwa ajili wanarudi nyumbani.
Kwa nini?
Wamefukuzwa.
Remedial.
For rims of paper, some stationery, trips, motivation for teachers to go for some trips.
Motivation, wait. No. Ndio tuelewe pole pole. Syllabus ndio syllabus sasa inaenda haraka. So now, kuna motivation mlipa pesa ngapi? 1,000. But hii motivation ni ya watoto ama ni ya mwalimu?
Hiyo.
Motivation humotivate mwalimu ndio wafanye kazi yao.
Yes.
All right. Nini nyingine?
Kuna activity fee. Hiyo lazima utoe.
Ngapi?
Kuna kuna Rigana, kuna wenye watakuitisha 350, kuna yani 500, kuna Rigana. Kuna hii mtihani exams unaitishwa, unaambiwa ni 40 bob 50. Yani ukifanya hesabu unaona inaligana na ile ya private school. Unaona ni kama ya private school. Sasa ukiligana ukipeleka mtoto pale public hakuna masomo. Sababu ukienda pale unaona watoto wamefanya homework, lakini mwalimu hata kuwa na hiyo ya kufanya ya kumark your homework. Watoto unapata class moja ni 90 pupils. Sasa mwalimu atamark aje hizo vitabu vyote vya watoto hao 90. Sasa watoto wanafanya ku-exchange vitabu.
Ndio nini fanya?
Huyu mark yangu na mimi ni mark yake.
Watoto.
Yes.
Watoto ndio wana mark vitabu za subject.
Yes.
It's common. What are you talking about?
Wait. So, is there a possibility that what Benson was reading was from a student? The correction yenye alikuwa anasema ni ya mwalimu. Inaweza kuwa ni a student.
What happens juu watoto ni wengi. These public schools tunaongea mambo ya watoto from 90 to 100. Na juu wako wengi unajua inakuwa impossible mwalimu kwenda round akimakia. Na mkumbuke tukianza we said even the teacher teaching this classroom anasimama tu hana space ya kwenda round. So inakuwa rahisi mwalimu ndiye akona marking scheme, so atasoma tu watoto wame exchange vitabu. So mwalimu ndiye atasoma.
So mwalimu ana mark vitabu ya kwanza alafu anapeana kwa watoto ndio waendelee ku mark zingine. Ni compare na hiyo.
The teacher has the marking scheme.
Yes.
Let's say we have like 10 questions So kids the 90 or 100 kids will exchange books. Unaambiwa peana kitabu nyuma ama peana mbele, itategemea. Then now it is the teacher with the marking scheme atasoma what is the correct answer on number 1 or how that formula is. Then the other kids will mark. Then watafanyia hesabu.
All right.
I think Ndu. Let's just look at what that means.
All
This is
right.
the state of education that we have in the country.
All right, we're going to come back and get some more because it's necessary for us to hear from everybody. So we'll do that in a bit. But let's hear from Claudia. That's what we hear so far. What should it look like?
I appreciate the honesty of the participants in the room because that is the reality of our Kenyan education system. The Constitution mandates the government to be able to provide free and compulsory basic education to every child in Kenya, right? And even the UNESCO report says that, it's not just enough to take the children to school, but the question that we should be asking ourselves as stakeholders in this nation is, are our children learning? In Usawa agenda, we are big on equity, right? We are big on equity and evidence-based policy making and decisions. That is why we are big on data. We collect data on learning levels or learning assessments, learning outcomes for children in all the 47 counties. And actually, our report, I'll refer to our report in 2023, confirms what the stakeholders in the room are saying. Especially issues of infrastructure, it's still a problem. And I will refer to the Nairobi report so that I provide accurate information. For example, when we were collecting data, because you collect both household and school indicators and as well as assess children. At the school level, when we visited the schools in Nairobi, a total of 10.6 of learners were absent from school that particular day. Reason? They had been sent home for levies or school fees. That confirms. Because already now, there are this cost that, the parents have to pay in school. It can be remedial, it can be activity fee. But some of them were absent from school that particular day when we visited because of school levies. That is a challenge in our current education sector. When you look at aspect of pupil-teacher ratio, we are referring to data because of our agenda. We are big on data, and it confirms again what they are saying. In Nairobi County, the ratio is 50-1 on average. That means one teacher, an average 50 students, but can be more based on what we've had, especially in the informal settlements. What does that mean to us? Right? What does that mean? Are these children getting quality learning, considering that the general standard is 1-40, and currently even in Kenya is 45-1? That means we're even beyond the standard of pupil-teacher ratio in Kenya. Thirdly, I would like to talk about infrastructure. For example, majority of the schools in Nairobi do not have playgrounds. As we think about CBC, what does that mean? Right? The way they are saying they have to go to a different or rent a space for them to be able to enjoy sports or participate in physical activities. There's a problem. And our data from Usawa Agenda Report, Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Assessment Report, indicates that a total almost 48.8% of schools in Nairobi do not have playing fields.
They're buying a desk, Claudia. They're not buying there's no space for. They're buying a desk.
Exactly. And the other issue you're looking at now, sanitation and toilets in school. Already they're not even learning well in school. The environment in school is not even conducive for them to learn. On average, one toilet serves a total of 87 children per day. Look at the situation of our schools, and that translates to the learning outcomes, right? What does that mean? You would find that in schools in Nairobi, a total of, in terms of learning outcomes, over 50.6% of grade 4 learners cannot read a grade 3 English story or do division in mathematics, a grade 4. What does that mean? That means our children are just moving from one class to another without acquiring the necessary competencies based on Usawa data. This is evidence. It's not story. This is based on Usawa data 2023. They're just moving from one level to another. What do we think as a nation? Because if you're not even focusing resources on foundational learning, which means early years of education, when you're constructing a building, what is the most important thing that you focus on? It's the foundation. The foundation determines how high that building will go. So the problem even in Kenya right now, our foundation has a problem because of the challenges that the stakeholders in this room are saying, and our data actually unearths those particular challenges.
Okay.
I could go on and on data because you find, like in Nairobi, for example, there are a total of 31% public primary schools. That means the rest are private schools.
Yeah, because I keep asking the question, when is the last time you saw that there was a construction from ground up of a public school?
Exactly.
And I would like to hear from this. We're going to come back, Claudia, because obviously the fundamental issues here that we are dealing with. So some questions come into play. If we're talking about 105 students in a class, smaller than this studio, right? And the teacher doesn't even have a place to stand, then this story of a playground where they play is a dream. It doesn't happen. But I want to go back to this 7,000 to 10,000 shillings that is being paid to the head teacher, headmaster. Is it known? Kila mtu anajua na that your pesa ni ya mfuko yake. kila mtu anajua ama wanasemanga hiyo pesa ni ya nini? Let's hear from you and then give us your experience as well. So the gentleman in the back, in the blue, and then we'll come to you in the back. Okay, let's start with the brown.
Thank you. Morning.
Yes.
My name is Aelo Kandika.
Just hold your mic up.
I'm also from Lower Savannah, Embakasi.
I think your mic is off. Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
Aelo Kandika from Embakasi, Lower Savannah. My name is Aelo Kandika from Lower Savannah, Embakasi. I think the only thing here, when it comes to, I think I'll dwell on two things. One, infrastructure, and then two, the quality of education that we have for our kids. Me, being one of the parents. So we've got a real challenge here. So wakati serikali inasema leteni watoto, tunataka wasome bure, tunataka wasome bure. Hapo ndio kuna maneno. Hapo ndio tunapata kizaazaa. So
all right. So, let's just hold on for a minute as we try to get that mic back because we can't hear you very well, unfortunately. Let's just hold on and see if we can get that sound issue sorted. Dennis, just let me know if you can hear.
Yeah, so question is, yeah, still there's a problem.
Okay, we need to come back and sort out that mic issue also, Mike, because we're not getting it, but we'll come back to you in just a minute. We'll just come back and then we'll go to the top of the hour as we try to sort out that sound issue. So please just hold on to that thought. Claudia, as we go to the top of the hour, because we're going to come back and do this for another hour, I am still on that place where we're looking at a foundation of some of these issues here, whereby it's known, it's practice. And we're looking at folks who are talking to us also on our socials this morning. And what are they telling us? I've also bought the desk for 2 PP2 and PP1 pupils. I've paid 7,000 to 10,000 shillings in order for them to get to see my student. We've been told here as well that the ministry is aware of this. What did you call those schools? AFBET schools. They are aware.
Alternative provision of basic education.
They know that the schools exist. They know that they're operating subpar, but they kind of let it go. Bora Shule is where we are right now. Bora Elimu, right?
Yeah.
How are we going to work like that?
This is the reality, but something has to shift. Yeah, because there's a report that was done recently by Each Rights. Yeah, I just want to unpack the issue, right? I would give an example of Mathare, for example, Mathare Slum, Mathare Informal Settlement. There are 149 private schools, 17 are registered by the government, Ministry of Education. 107 of them are not registered by the government, but registered by other organizations like Ministry of Social Protection, Ministry of Gender, and Ministry of Labor. And that is where majority of learners in the informal settlements attend. That's not, it's the reality. AFBET schools are big and functioning in the informal settlements because, as we all understand, the population of Kenyan cities, around approximately 70% of them live in the informal settlements. And approximately 60% of these learners go to the AFBET or low-cost private schools. They're actually low-cost private schools. Because if you're looking at an alternative provision of basic education, that means it's supposed to cater for a particular group of students. That's why it's alternative, right?
Not everybody.
Not everybody. And it's tailored curriculum. For example, let me talk about maybe children, teenage mothers. They cannot come to school in the morning and evening. There's a tailored, curriculum for them or structure of learning. They come at this particular time and leave. That's an alternative because you want everyone to get education. But what is happening in the informal settlements is actually low-cost private schools. They're not alternative. They are low-cost private schools run by individuals. Majority actually run by individuals, others by faith-based organizations, others by foreign organizations running them in the informal settlements. And the reality is quality is wanting. Quality is wanting. Let me refer to one initiative that was done by the government in 2019. It was a government led initiative for mapping out informal schools in informal settlements. The reality that they found, and these are issues known, in terms of ownership, 41.4% are owned by individuals of this in the slums. 11.2% are owned by faith-based organizations. 2.5% are owned by foreign organizations. In terms of registration, this is a sad reality. 16.2% of those schools are not registered anywhere, and they're running.
And they're sitting students with examinations.
And they're running, yes. And 12.7% are registered by MOE. This is what they're talking about. These are facts. 71.4% are registered
So how
by
do
other.
students sit for national exams?
There's a lapse in our education system.
This is not a lapse. This is a big gaping hole.
Yeah,
Let's take a break at this point. Let's take a break at the top of the hour. We're going to come back and we're going to look at these issues. We want to hear from everybody here to then be able to tell us what is the situation. Only when we talk about these things in the open can we then be able to look towards solution. It's 9:01.
Yeah.
Spice FM Baraza continues after this. Don't go away.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leo Ubaga. As the lecturers' strike that has affected 42 public university officially enters its third week, a section of students from public universities have threatened to go on strike if the government does not resolve the lecturer strike in the next 24 hours. The students lament that the ongoing strike by university dons has left them idle and unattended in classrooms, expressing concern that prolonged industrial action will affect their academic calendars. The students, who say they spend most of their time in their residency halls or the library, say that if the strike is not resolved, they risk losing an entire semester.
Any delayed academic calendar, they shall compensate it. Yes. As we know, right now, there's an ongoing strike of the lecturers. We will not sit back and relax while these people are delaying our dreams in this nation.
Yes. We've been 2 months in school without going to classes, and it's remaining like 1 month to our examination, and we've never seen our lecturers in class. And we are not going to retreat. We are here so that you can hear our voices. The government should address this issue in 24 hours.
And lecturers want the state to settle 7.9 billion shillings in outstanding dues from the 2017-2021 CBA and also commence new talks for the 2025-2029 CBA. The Ministry of Health now says that NHIF left shift with Linda Mama debt worth billions. Health Cabinet Secretary Aidan Dwale, however, says that the government has managed to pay the debt without raising differences with the defunct NHIF.
They left us with 30 billion fictitious NHIF debt. Out of that debt, Linda Mama debt under NHIF inpatient was 4.8 billion. Outpatient was 306 million. In total, my good friend, you have left us with 5.6 billion Linda Mama. You should thank us. We did not look for the money. We did not went to public liars and said you left us. You left us with many debt. But today, because you started it, Linda Mama left a debt with us, Your Excellency.
He further added that millions of Kenyans continued to visit health facilities using SHA despite claims that the authority wasn't working.
Today, in 9 months since SHA was formed, Your Excellency, 17.5 million Kenyans visited over 10,000 health facilities. Of this 17.5, 12.5 million Kenyans accessed free primary care paid by the government of Kenya. They went to dispensaries, they went to health centers, they went to sub-county hospitals as outpatients, they went home without paying a coin. I don't know whether that is transformative or that is reducing the gains somebody else has made.
And the United Nations Security Council has voted in favor of the transition of the MSS mission in Haiti into a much more lethal and beefed up gang suppression force supported by both a newly created UN Support Office and the Organization of American States. The new force was authorized on Tuesday following a vote of 12 in favor.
I shall put the draft resolution to the vote now. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2025/609 please raise their hand. Those against, abstentions. The result of the voting is as follows: 12 votes in favor, 0 votes against, 3 abstentions. The draft resolution has been adopted as Resolution 2793.
That's the News Wire. I'm Leo Baga, and remember to continue enjoying the EPL matches across our radio stations, Berur, Radio Maisha, and right here on Spice FM.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
One of the things that are in our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
I can confidently say they told me I'm the one who switched off the sound, so I'll take the fault for it for now. But we continue, because these are conversations that we're having on the Spice Baraza this morning. If you just tuned in, this is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. We're having a heavy one this morning, and we're looking at the state of education. What's the real state of education? And for all intents and purposes, this is actually what it looks like. We have a cross-section of folks who are joining us this morning in this conversation. Claudia Lagat is the Assistant Program Officer with Policy Engagement, the Usawa Agenda. Mwalimu Mungai is also here as Education Advocate and Researcher at Kewota. And Eric Ambuche is the founder of the Slums Outreach Program. So we're looking at some of those things. We're going to come and hear from people in terms of what it looks like. But you were providing us with some insights into how we can get through education, Dennis, with Safaricom.
Yes, and it's interesting having this education conversation. And the thing is, with Safaricom Home Fiber, then you can extend. So from Toto Kitoka kwa Darasa, at least at home, they can get connected to the internet. And using Safaricom Home Fiber, it's fast and reliable. And I want to tell you how you can actually get around this. And it's very, very simple. So we've been having a very, very good offer of 25%, but that offer ended yesterday. So what I then need to let you know is stay tuned, because there are more offers that are going to be coming, so stay tuned to the Situation Room. However, if you still want to pay for your Safaricom Home Fiber, you can easily do that by redeeming your Bonga points, and all you need to do is dial *126# to do that. And if you are not on Safaricom Home Fiber, dial *400# or visit my Safaricom app for immediate connection, because the home has now also become a classroom where children then can access other courses or other learning materials, watch videos, watch a teacher at least online, teach them on a subject that they feel they're missing something in school. Even tuition nowadays has moved online. So Safaricom makes things better. So make sure you get yourself that router. It comes for free. The installation, again, is free.
Fantastic stuff. Mr. Aseto, so just to hear and why we do this, and I think it's absolutely necessary. It's very possible for us to exist in a glass house where you think that everything that surrounds you is glitter and gold. But even in the glitter and the gold, there is a flaw. So for us to understand what is really happening and put it out there, to irritate the situation so much that either something is done about it or we keep insisting until something is done. And that's why we talk about these things. Dennis?
The thing is, you hear all these stats that have been thrown around. Education is working. There is budgeting that has happened. We have released capitation. We are building schools for JSS. But this is, kwa ground, they say mambo ni different. The gentleman on my extreme left, there's something you were saying before we went on the break. Just go back to your point and tell us how the situation is on ground.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I'd like to dwell on two things here.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Eno Kandika from Lower Savannah, Embakasi East. I'd like to dwell on two things here. One, infrastructure, and then two, quality of the education that our kids are getting. Because we are worried as parents. So wakati serikali nasema leteni wanafunzi ama leteni watoto wasome bure, underline hiyo kitu bure, hapo ndio kunakuwa na shida. Area hata wangesema atafi, lakini wakati wanasema bure, and then the first thing you meeting is 10,000 on your face ya kusema ndio mtoto akanyege kwa classroom, tupatieni 10,000 alafu uongeze sijui 3,500 ya desk. Hiyo ni pesa ushapatana nayo kwanza. That's not free. That's not free, and it's happening. And everybody here is sharing the same thing that I'm talking about here. So infrastructure wise, wakati maybe in Lower Savannah you've got only one school inaitwa Idilvel. Na tangu tuzaliwa sisi tumekaa kwa hiyo mtaa. Ile ndio shule, the only public school that we have, the only one. And in Lower Savannah we've got a population of 300,000, and majority of them are parents. So you can imagine the number of kids that we have that need that education. So we really have a challenge. Hata wakati unaendea pengine mambo na clean water, maji tu ya kutumia, juu watoto wanakaa kwa shuleni the whole day, they need to take water. How do they accept that clean water? It's another challenge. Playgrounds.
Kama unafanyaje?
You really the kid has to carry water from home. That is a routine, daily routine.
So mtoto anaenda shule na kibuyu na maji.
Yes, you just carry. So that ile itam sustain the whole day. Failure to do that, mtoto anaenda hapo amekunywa maji pengine si clean. That's another it's a challenge. We really experience, especially here in Nairobi. Na mnajua mambo na maji venye na saa zingine inakuwa rationed. So we really facing
so as a parent challenge. You're equally concerned that you take your child to school.
Yeah.
Quality of education is issue.
Wondering,
education is not free.
Yes.
But again, there's a question of sanitation and
the health of our kids. We really worried. Pale kwetu, pale Jacaranda, ile uwanja mnasikianga Jacaranda, all the schools around, including the private schools, since all the public spaces have been grabbed, ile ndio sasa playing ground. Na mlisikia serikali ikisema, in fact is this month or sijui next month, sasa wanataka kugeuza hiyo uwanja, wanataka kujenga zile mambo zenye wanajenga. So where our kids watoto wetu affordable housing. Ile ndio maneno inakuja pale. Mr. Okari, affordable housing ikikuja pale, wale watoto wetu wa Lower Savannah wanaenda kuchezea wapi? That kid will have to remain
ile kiwanja moja siasa.
Ile moja. Ile kiwanja ndio inasabu siasa, ile kiwanja ndio ya kuchezewa, ile kiwanja ndio ya bunge la mwananchi. Inafanya kazi zote. Lakini sasa hii serikali imesema hapana, hii uwanja iko so idle. Tunataka kuwajengea nyumba pale.
So Edelville, hiyo shule yenye unasema public school,
yes,
iko na uwanja?
Haina uwanja. There's a very small space that the kids that are in that school can't even be comfortable using that facility. It's flooded, it's over flooded. So that's a big challenge.
So how do kids, because I know kama kuna class, kuna break time.
True.
Kuna break, one ziko mbili. So watoto wanaenda break time wapi? So wanatembea mpaka Jacaranda ama Jacaranda specific days wana book.
Jacaranda, they do play in shifts. Shule zimeshajuana pale.
Okay, sorry.
Wale wanajua ile shule fulani ishapeleka watoto pale. So you hold. Wakati wale wamemalizana ndio mna release hao wengine. They do play in shifts. That is what's happening there. So you go there today, you'll find some kids playing, ile shule ingine imehold hao wengine. So wale wengine wataachiliwa wakati wengine wale wengine wametoka. That's what's happening. So we really worried. Wakati tunaambiwa masomo ni bure na infrastructure ni ile. All the public spaces in Embakasi East, let me dwell on Embakasi East, zote zimekuwa grabbed. Hakuna hata moja. Na ndio sababu hapa Savannah ilikuwa pamoja na Lower Savannah, they were separated. It was one ward. But ukienda pande ile ingine, pande ya Donholm, ndio unapata Donholm Primary. Just another one public school, na hakuna space ingine ya kujengea watu shule. Hata kama ungependa kujenga, hakuna spaces. The spaces have been grabbed. So we don't have any other option.
Okay,
and then number 2, quality of education. Wakati ya watoto wamejaa kwa darasa, ule mwalimu wakati anafundisha, I'm worried. Pengine mtoto wako ni backbencher huko, atasikiza nini? So saa zingine mimi na encourage mtoto wangu, tafadhali mwalimu, tafutia mtoto wangu akae pale mbele. Ndio wakati unaongea, sikiza, asikae kule nyuma, na the place is overcrowded. there's not that attention one-on-one ya mwalimu na mwanafunzi. So it's a worrying trend. Finally, let me be the devil's advocate here. There's one thing that is happening and I'd like to acknowledge. Hapo Lower Savannah tuko na kiongozi MCA amejaribu kazi yake venye anaweza. Kuna early childhood ECD nakuja pale, na I think I'd like to acknowledge that and I encourage him wherever he is that atulete hiyo shule venye ameanza hiyo mipango juu watoto wale wachekechea, watoto wetu wanaumia pale sana. Lakini since that thing is coming, na since hakuna spaces, ile program itakuwa ina run kwa social loan. Hakuna space.
But you know that's his job. You're applauding him for what he's supposed to be doing. ECD is a county function.
True.
It's their job. That's what they are supposed to do. But as a member of the county assembly, they should actually be fostering and making sure that that school that you're talking about is actually there. It's their job. That's why you voted them in to be there.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, these people, you vote them in, they go sleep. But so those ones who are doing that, we should acknowledge them.
The gentleman in blue.
Okay. Kwa majina naitwa Sospita. Vile kila mtu anaongea hapa ndio vile kila mtu ana feel, unless wewe kama utoki Kenya hapa. Wewe unapata shule private, utaambiwa school fees kwa mfano ni 10,000. Na hiyo 10,000 utaambiwa unaweza ileta polepole, unaweza toa ile kile unapata unaleta. Na unaenda public school ile wanatuambia free, unaambiwa tunataka desk na tunataka hiyo 10,000. Na hiyo unaitoa hiyo time. Unataka kuitoa hiyo time. So itabidi utampeleka private, utakuwa unapeleka sotano, mtoto anasoma polepole kuliko utatoa wapi hiyo shilingi 10,000 hiyo time.
Hiyo 10,000 nasikia kila mtu akiongea sana hiyo 10,000. Ni kama ni official shule zote lazima utoe hiyo 10,000. Ni kama the official bribe. Watu wame standardize ni 10,000 kwanza.
It's not all schools. Some is higher.
Oh.
In up market, sorry. In schools that are in up market, like the schools they're talking about are mainly maybe in Savannah and Embakasi. But a school like, if you want to take a child to schools like in the upper side of Nairobi, it's higher. The truth of the matter is that a school like, it's not official, but it's agreed upon between teachers and parents. See, the new parents may not know what has happened. I'm a teacher. So what happens that in a school, like for example, I've been teaching, say, at Nairobi Primary School, we will call parents and tell them, parents, before your child joins our school, we have got extra teachers that we need to pay. We have got electricity, watchmen. There are some utilities that we need to be paying for. So we call a parents' day meeting, and we either we impose or we suggest some figure to them. Many schools have different figures. An upmarket school like say Nairobi Primary will have a higher figure. Now this money is recognized by the school and also through something called PTA, Parents Teachers Association. So we agree as parents and teachers that if we have run this school, we can't afford the money that the government is giving us. So the parents will not get a receipt because the money we are charging as teachers, I'm one of them and I'm talking as a person who participates in this. We charge them, we give them an unofficial receipt because it's something that we have made a local arrangement between us as teachers and parents to be able to run the school, pay for electricity, pay charges, and pay some many other things that the government is not doing.
So as teachers, you've agreed to just be corrupt.
We are not really, you cannot just use the word corrupt, sir. Okay. What we are doing is, we call the parents and tell them, this is the reality on the ground. Vile wanasema, kwamba kuna vitu ambayo serikali nasema itafanya, lakini haifanyi. So kile tunafanya tunawaambia wazazi, kama mnataka hii shule yenyu kuwe na watchman, nyinyi ndio mtatusaidia kulipa. Kama mnataka kuwe na stima kwa hii shule, nyinyi mtatusaidia kulipa. So we agree on a figure.
Can't be.
Sorry, I'd cut him short. I don't think so. Kama maliza.
Wanamalizia.
Oh, malizia.
Okay, ndio kwa tunasema hizo vitu siko different. Ukiona kwa TV vile siasa anasema pesa iko, hiyo pesa hatuoni, na kama iko inaenda wapi na inasaidia nini? Pia serikali maybe wa Kenya ama nini itafanyika ndio kitu kibadilike, kwa sababu unapata wakati wa Kibaki watoto walisoma, ulikuwa unaambiwa free ni free. Ukipatana na mtoto wa mtu kwa barabara umwambie nenda shule, ataenda ama utamlazimisha aende kwa sababu ni free. Lakini sasa utaambia mtoto wa mtu akwambie nimefukuzwa 1000, utampatia aende kweli? Hataenda. Kwa hivyo itabidi tu watoto utakutana nao mtaani wale wamefukuzwa hiyo pesa. Si free hata kidogo. Hiyo CBC ni kitu mzuri. Ilikuwa kitu mzuri, lakini maybe hao watu wa kuimplement ndio wanaharibu. Juu mtu ametaka kusomea kitu fulani, anapewa chance ya kuisomea. Lakini sasa hawa nao ukiangalia hizo mashule zilijengwa wakati hiyo CBC kianza, wakalazimisha watu tunajenga sijui magorofa, tunajenga nini. Sasa hiyo wakati hiyo government iliingia hiyo ya ingine, hizo mashule zimekwama. Hiyo pesa si ilipotea. Hakuna mahali kitu mpya ilijengwa ya kusaidia CBC. Hakuna madarasa zilijengwa, zile zilijengwa hizo magorofa hazijaendelea mahali popote tangu government ingie. Kumaanisha hata ingine itakapoingia tena tunarudi nyuma step ingine. Tunafaa kuwa tuna policy moja, ile government ikiingia ni hiyo tu. Hakuna ingine atu wana implement ingine ama wanabadilisha kitu yote hapo.
Alright, let's listen to the lady here. Let's
even if you are saying that 10,000 you can even have 10,000 na mtoto wako tena asiingie public school.
Okay.
Do you know that? So that even you have 10,000 but hiyo shule nayo tena itakupatia nafasi.
Okay.
Kwa sababu hiyo nafasi pia kuipata ni ngumu. So even these guys who are sitting here, they'll tell you uko na 10,000 or 20,000 wanakuambia kuna nafasi.
Okay. Let's listen to the lady here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Elizabeth from Embakasi South. It is a hassle to take our kids in a public school. So unapata hata hiyo 10,000 ya kuona mwalimu kando kwanza ndio ukubaliwe ufanye interview. It is not a guarantee that utaingia hiyo shule. Unapata unalipia vitu vingi ni kana kwamba unapeleka mtoto high school. Unapata sisi Embakasi South, private schools are so many. Zingine hata ni vibanda ambako watoto wetu wapati elimu bora. The future of our kids is affected. Their destinies are affected kwa sababu hatuna masomo ambayo inazingatia watoto wetu watakuwa watu ambao watajenga nchi ya baadaye.
Private school ni vibanda.
Yes.
Sijui sielewi. Vibanda ni mali tunanunua. I know what kibanda is. That's why I'm trying to connect kibanda na shule.
Okay.
What are we saying here? Vibanda mali naenda kununua nyanya. Kibanda ni kumaanisha kwamba kwa mali naenda kukula chapati madondo.
Mwelezea unajua si wa kwetu.
Wewe ni mgeni.
See, I don't know. Kibanda na maanisha ni nyumba ambazo zimejengwa kwa mabati. Saa wamegawanya. As a school unapata hii ni darasa la kwanza, la pili, la tatu namna hiyo.
Wow.
Is where we take our kids.
And it all is a school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pia hiyo darasa nini, kuna wakati wa saa 8 football itaochiwa hapo Manchester na Arsenal. Kuna kanisa itakuwa hapo Sunday. In the same hiyo nini hiyo.
Okay. Please go ahead, mama.
So we are here just to voice our voices that the state organs may hear our pleas. So that those lands that are building affordable houses, they can raise a facility that will facilitate our watoto wetu wapate mafunzo. Na my kids, mimi nina watoto 6. Hawa watoto kupeleka pia in private schools, it is not easy. Sababu kila wakati wako wapi? Nyumbani. Kila wakati wanafukuzwa karo ya shule. Ukipeana hiyo 500, it is not guaranteed that mtoto wako atakuwa darasani.
Wait, amefukuzwa nyumbani juu ya 500. Na unasema si guarantee hata ukilipa ataingia kwa darasa?
Yeah.
Kwa nini?
Why?
You see, when they say there is a certain amount wanatoa kwamba school fees walipe per term. Na kwa tamu ni kama wakitoa 4,000, 5,000, na unajua maisha ya wazazi ambao wako kijijini, it is a hustle. Kujipa maisha ya kuzingatia masomo ya watoto inakuwa ni vigumu kidogo. Sasa wewe mzazi ukitoa shilingi 500 unapelekea mtoto shuleni, inamaanisha si atakaa darasani. It is you to make sure that utatafuta kazi, upambane uende ukalipia mtoto wako karo.
That is
si rahisi kwetu.
In private schools?
Yeah.
All right, let's listen to Mama at the back. You can just stand and... Yeah.
Kwa majina naitwa Esther Musangi na wasalimu wote. Habari zenu?
Salama.
Mimi kama mimi ni mzazi wa watoto 3. Nilimbangaiza nafasi hapo kwa shule za nini za government, sikupata nafasi. Sasa mimi nang'ang'ananga kusomesha watoto wangu kwa private schools. Hizo private watoto mara mingi wanashinda kwa manyumba. Sababu kama uko na mtoto tuseme kama grade 6, uko na grade 2 na tuseme uko na secondary, uta afford kulipia watoto ile nini pesa walimu wanahitaji. Utapea huyu school fees, ukirudi nyumbani yule mwingine ameshinda kwa nyumba. Labda amekuja amekukosa, utapata alishinda kwa nyumba, amefukuzwa school fees. Hii maneno mnauliza ati watoto wanafanya mtihani aje tuseme kama grade 8. Watoto wanakujanga, wanafukuzwa, wanaambiwa endeni mlete wazazi, tuambie vile tutawapanga kufanya mtihani ya grade 8. Mkienda shule, mnaambiwa watoto hawatafanyia mtihani kwa hiyo shule. Sasa zile shule ziko registered, wanangawa watoto kwa hizo mashule. Utapata mtoto wangu kama alikuwa anasomea Sloam, anafanyia mtihani kwa shule ingine inaitwa aje. Yaani shule ingine wanawapeleka huko. Sasa mtihani yake alisomea Sloam, mtihani yake ya grade 8 itakuja na shule ingine certificate yake. Hivyo sasa ndo wanafanya.
Kwa nini juu hiyo school haiko registered? Hiyo shule haiko registered. So hawezi okay, I understand. Alright.
Sasa hivyo ndo wanafanya.
Kwa nini haukupata space kwa hiyo shule ya kwanza kabla ulienda hii private?
Unaenda kwa government, unaitishwa kila mtoto hizo ngiri 10 za kuona ndio upate nafasi kwa hiyo shule. Unapiga hesabu uko na watoto 3. Hiyo ni 30,000. Utatoa wapi? Unarudi tena hapa kwa private school.
Okay, let's listen to the gentleman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Vincent Andare. I come from Embakasi South. On my side, I was to talk about the school fees because I realize some of the schools wanalipisha school fees tofauti sana. Sababu mimi ni mzazi, kuna shule nimetembea kadhaa ambazo nilikuwa natafuta kupeleka watoto. Unaenda kwa shule, unaelezewa, unapewa hiyo ya school fee structure. Unapata hadi kuna shule inalipisha per month, ambapo ukiangalia shule inalipisha per month inakuwa high kabisa kwa fee. Alafu pia inakuwa very tricky kwa mzazi kulipa, sababu before hiyo mwezi ishe tastahili hiyo kiwango kuwa umekamilisha kulipa.
So hii ni in private ama public school?
This is private school.
Private.
Yeah, even moja hapo iko tu hapa Embakasi, hapa karibu Embakasi hapa Imara. Nimeenda hapo hata juzi nikaangalia. Fee wanalipisha pabande na kila siku wana make sure mtoto ako kwa barabara. Sababu wanataka kabla mwezi ishe hiyo fee ikiwa imekamilishwa ndio waanze hiyo mwezi nyingine.
So swali ni nini ilikusukuma kupeleka mtoto private school na si public school?
Sana public school mara mingi ambavyo wazazi wenzangu wamesema hiyo shule za government ukienda pale lazima kuna vitu vingi sana unaitishwa. Sana ambapo nimesikia watu wakisema kuna kulipishwa 10,000 ya kuona tu kwanza mwenye ako hapo, yani kuhangana. Kuna hizo, alafu kuna ile pia unaelezewa ndio mtoto aingie unafaa ulipe kiwango fulani. Sasa kama mimi kuna moja nilienda ya public, nikaambiwa ndio mtoto aingie utalipa hii kiwango, ndiposa tumshughulikie aingie. Na kabla aingie pia lazima utalipa za interview, ulipe za hizi vitu ndogo ndogo, kiti, hizo vitabu nini. Sasa inakuwa
hiyo ni kando na school fees.
Yes,
hiyo peke yake ukihesabu yote ni kama pesa ngapi hivi?
Hasta inapita hiyo 10,000 ukihesabu zile tu vitu unaitishwa ndogo ndogo pale ndani zinapita 10,000. Ambapo sasa inakuwa hata kama we mzazi ulikuwa unatafuta shule, hiyo kitu itakukwaza, utafikiria kuliko ni sumbukane hapa nikibembelezana nipewe nafasi ya mtoto asome. Ni hili sasa hata uende kwa private, ambapo pale private utalipishwa kiwango ya fee, ambapo utailipa ingaje ni tricky, sababu private nyingi saizi wanaangalia pesa, hawaangalii masomo. Hiyo ndio kitu moja nimekuwa nikiangalia pale. Pia mtoto akiingia shule wana make sure kabla tamu ishe ukue umelipa zile pesa. Sasa shida inakuwa ile wakati mtoto anaenda shule maybe wajaelezea wazazi, lakini mtoto anaenda shule, ikifika muda fulani unapata watoto wako kwa nyumba, watoto wamerudishwa fee. Ambapo hiyo pia ni changamoto kubwa sana kwa wazazi. Na kuna ile pia unapata maybe mzazi within hiyo muda hana kitu, sababu kwa saizi venye life iko hard. So kuna venye mzazi lazima jikakamue apate fee, lakini pia na walimu pia na hawapei wazazi hiyo chance ya kutafuta. Wao wanataka mtoto akiwa shule akamilishe kila kitu tuendelee kusoma.
So we're talking about a situation where education is supposed to be free, right?
Yeah.
But here's a question where you go to public school, you're asked for money. You go to private school, still again what? It is money. So question is, what are we doing to the education? And is education as stated to be free, really free, Claudia?
I concur with what the stakeholders here have mentioned. The government has tried in having the free primary education and also the transition policy, ensuring that, children go to school. But the reality, I'll still say, that is not the case. I will just follow up with what he's just said from a report by Each Rights on Mathare. They are focusing on Mathare, and the topic of the report last year was build us more schools. And they actually confirmed that parents actually prefer to take their children to the low-cost private schools because of cost. If you compare, if you put together all this cost they're talking about, there's a 10,000. You will, at the end of the day, you're paying so much money in public schools, and most parents are actually preferring to take their children to private school. One, it's actually cheaper, as they say, based on the report. And the other aspect is they are allowed to pay in installments. In a local private school, utalipa kidogo kidogo. Leo umeenda kuongelesha mwalimu, nitalipa hii 5,000. Siku ingine unaweza rudi useme nitalipa 2,000 pole pole, which that is not the case in public primary school. The other aspect is accessibility, right? We've already established that there are few public primary schools in the country, and even in the informal settlements. So for example, in Mathare, if you have like 6 public schools in Mathare, the whole of Mathare, look at the population in Mathare, over 200,000 people. The other aspect, the parent, it's a perception that there is quality quality in the low-cost private schools because of pupil-teacher ratio. Because in public primary school, as we've been told, the numbers are huge. Dennis mentioned 100, 100 per class. If you go to a private school, how many children are there? The parents are here. How many children are there? Wako wengi ama wachache? Yeah. Ni wachache. So the perception of the parents are like, kama naweza peleka mtoto wangu kwa shule ambao haina watoto wengi, there is quality.
Okay.
So, but our data shows, our 2023 data shows that actually public schools outperformed private schools in our 2023 assessments. Yeah. So there's still an issue of quality even in the low-cost private schools.
For sure, I think the quality goes across board because what we talk about here are brick and mortar issues, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually getting the student bodies into class is a struggle. You buy the imaginary desk, you will pay the headmaster whatever 10,000, which we don't even know where it goes. But my question is, Mwalimu Amunga, has this been the case? It is hard to imagine that things have deteriorated at such a crazy level in just 3 years. we talk about the current administration, but it seems to me as though this is not a new phenomenon. This is something that has been around for a long time, or am I wrong?
It has been there for a long time.
Okay.
The truth of the matter is that the government is unable to provide quality education to all children in this country.
And has been unable even before 2022.
It's been unable all along.
Okay.
It's just that as the population continues to grow, as the population in this country continues to grow, then these challenges now come to the front, and everybody now starts noticing that there's been a problem. Quality education is, as I've said before, is three things: quality teachers, quality tools, quality environment. Now, most of our schools don't have these things, and even the budget that we talk about as a country that we are putting into education is not proportional to the number of children that we have. And our planners, the people who plan for this country, the people who plan especially for the education sector, they have some of their priorities very wrong. All these things begin from the planning and from the top. So what we are hearing from down here is the failure at the top for planning and the politicization of education sector, whereby we have allowed politicians to take over the education sector. So that, as one of the parents said, we have our MCA now coming in to help us. Now, these things are supposed to be done by the Ministry of Education, qualified people doing this work. I can tell you, and she can tell you for the reports that we have, the inspectors that we used to have when, say, Dennis was in school, those inspectors that will come in school and you see teachers scampering to safety, helter-skelter looking for how to meet the syllabus are no longer there. We do no longer have inspectors of schools because the government also can't afford. What we used to have something called quality education enforcers, people to move from school to enforce, to see if the curriculum is being taught, is no longer happening. So these things is because of the top. Our country has a problem. And because we are looking for the next election, and somebody has said it here, something that ukisema ni ya bure, masomo ni ya bure, it's even worse. There is nothing like free lunch in this world. In fact, the truth of the matter is this: education can never be free. Education has a cost, a very big cost. Quality education is costly, and CBE, for that matter, is a very costly kind of a system. So if as a country we can't put the money in our mouth or wherever we are talking about,
so then should we have free education then? Because we say free education and it sounds great to the ear, you know, but obviously a government cannot handle it. It sounds very difficult to want to accept, but can you actually afford free education?
We cannot afford free education. There is nothing like free education. If we have to talk about free education, that means we may have to do something like affirmative action, whereby we bring in money, like what we are doing for affordable housing. We tax people or tax Kenyans and put the money exactly to say, like what we are doing for SHA. Instead of just saying SHA, now we say for education. This money is going to the education. Otherwise, as a country, as we are right now, we are using 701 billion on the education sector. Yet our lecturers are on strike as I speak this moment. Yet our teachers have not been employed. So there's nothing like free. Even the books that we are supposed to be using in those schools have to be paid for. So all I can say is this, and maybe as I conclude on this one, is we as a country are so much engrossed in something called fake news. We propagate issues that are not there, imaginary. Like the parents are saying here, we're talking about a desk, which you know very well, there's no desk. That is what happens also from the top level. We tell the Minister of Education, we say, we have done this. But we on the ground, me as a teacher, teaching in a public school, I can tell you, even that money, actually, maybe parents don't know this. The government sends per child to every school 23 shillings per year. 23 shillings in primary schools. So with 23 shillings, you can do the mathematics. What can I do with it as a teacher, as a school? That's why we as teachers are levying extra levies to parents in our public schools. And government knows, and government can do nothing about it. It can't arrest us. There is no teacher you'll hear being arrested because we have charged extra money, because we are protected by the government. The government knows we are doing the right thing. We can't run a school without money. That's why we have got things now coming up. You're hearing about 50,000 ghost learners in our schools. Where do these things come from? What happens is because the government, the same government, protects what we are doing. They know there are illegalities going on. They know we are charging this money, but they know there's value to the country.
Yeah. Mwalimu, let me just ask you a simple question. We say we spend 701 billion shillings in the education sector, but as we sit here today and we look at the education in the country, does it look like 701 billion?
Of course, it does not look like that, because most of that money does not reach where it's supposed to reach. That's why we're talking about ghost learners in schools. That's why we're talking about ghost schools. A school in Bomet allocated 500 million that doesn't reach that school. The school is not there. So these monies don't reach the schools. These monies, our researchers here will tell us, as much as we talk about these big budgets that are going to the education sector, most of this money ends up somewhere else and not us. World Bank, and I have to say this here, our donors and our funders as a country have had to come in very strongly by trying to see how they can help us account and give us money that we can account. But as I speak, if we are to go and do some research, there are several members of the Ministry of Education who have been arrested. 2 of them are actually serving sentence in court, in jail, because the money can come in from the donors, but that doesn't reach us. So where the money goes, what happens? Me as a teacher and these parents who are seated here may not be able to tell.
So something is going on, and I'd like to hear from the lady in the back here, because ulikuwa umesema that, you know, kuna 100 and something students in class, unanunua desk, amjui hiyo desk iko wapi, mnapatia head teacher 10,000 shillings, but that's the stuff, right? It's the hammer and the nails. Uko na hakika watoto wanasomeshwa vizuri kweli ukiangalia?
Hapana. Sababu kama mimi siwezi peleka watoto huko, mwalimu, watoto wenye wako mbele ndio watashika hayo masomo.
Mbele ya classroom sasa.
Yes. Lakini wenye wako nyuma hawatashika. Utapata watoto wamelala. Watoto wamelala na mwalimu hajui kama wamelala. Hiyo ni kitu yani hata nimeshuguza mimi mwenyewe na nikauliza mtoto, sasa mkienda shule mnafanyaga? Wenye wako nyuma wanalala. Hata si lazima tuende shule. Mwalimu hatajua kama tuko shule ama hatuko shule. Hata kuwa na time ya kuja kuangalia. Hakuna hata register. Sasa mimi nitakipeleka wagu waje huko public. Wagu wako private. Lakini kutoka January hawajasoma.
Meaning what?
Yes, wakienda shule wanafukuzwa.
Tuko October.
Yes, tuko October. Mtoto wangu wako grade 9.
Ako grade 9 na
yes,
kuna exam.
Yes.
Kuna exam.
Nilienda huko. Walitisha, waliniambia ili mtoto aruhusiwe kuingia class, kwanza nipeleke 5,000.
Umekuwa na watoto kwa nyumba kutoka January.
Wanaenda wakirudishwa. Nikajaribu hata kuuza vitu vya nyumba watoto wasome. Lakini hata ukilipa, mwezi ukiisha wanarudishwa bado. You have to clear the fee. So nikawapebeleza. Eli huyu mtoto wa grade 9 asome, afanye mtihani, wakakataa.
I don't even know what to say.
You know, hearing some situations is just difficult, because remember, at the end of the day, that grade 9er will have to sit the same assessment as every other student who have access to these facilities. But remember, as we talk about this now, so you've established the CBC as is being implemented, but then again there is JSS, and when we talk about JSS, kuna pathways. Mimi, my son wants to play football, but we've established that hizi shule ambazo watoto wanaenda hawana hizi facilities ya kucheza football. Mwingine anataka kuwa swimmer, hawana swimming pool. As parents, are you concerned that at the end of the day, even the curriculum yenye wamepeana CBE would not achieve what is intended?
Nitachangia hivi kwamba I'm a parent and a guardian for several students in several schools in this country, and I can attest that I've seen it all. Allow me just very briefly to say this, that in this area where I come from, because I'll speak from where I come from because I know it better, that quality, equality or equity do not matter here. Teachers, when we started, we said about them earning 5 to 7K. It is a real situation on ground. Head teacher unapata sasa, deputy ndio pengine anapata 7, and it's a true testimony in Mukuru. You will find that parents, mtoto wake anafundishwa na walimu tofauti, let's say in a month or in a term. Mtoto wake anafundishwa na walimu tofauti because walimu wanabadilishwa juu labda kutolipwa. Unapata darasa ya 10 by 10 maybe imekatwa katikati, imefanywa partitioning, then watoto wako pande wana sketch nyingine nafundishwa pande nyingine. You will find that in these private schools, there are schools that I've seen 3 kids in one classroom. 3 kids. Na nafikiri kuna mzazi hapa atakubali kwamba hata nilimshauri akatoa watoto wake kwa hiyo shule. Grade 2 had 1 kid, grade 3 had 3 kids in one classroom. Then as I finish, kuna shule ambayo ilikuwa imezingirwa na chang'aa dens. I'll not name it. It was closed. The school had to be ejected from that area a month ago. The area is surrounded by chang'aa dens and it had to be moved out. It has to be engulfed. Then when all these things are happening, how come nobody is seeing or paying attention in all this mess? With so many education institutions in Kenya. CS education, allow me to use this platform to say that CS education is poor when it comes to site visits. If you remember what the former, rest in peace, Professor Magoha, what he used to do, he came with gumboots in Mukuru and did what he did. Now, he said that we identify areas that were meant for schools, parcels that were meant for school. We did that and dropped those documents to relevant offices, but they are gathering dust on those shelves. Let me provide some way forward as I finish, that I call for immediate government intervention and do the necessary. That is reclamation of spaces meant for schools, increase education infrastructure, temporary support for these children or these parents who are here. I know I have left very many parents in Mukuru who have the same problems here. It's only that I could not carry all of them as you had instructed me. They need temporary support. Huyu mama ambaye anaongea kuhusu mtoto wake kwa grade 9. It's a situation that I know. It was kuna msichana alikuwa grade 9, sitamtaja hapa. Alikuwa nje ya shule na nikampeleka kwa hiyo shule through the help of well wishers. Na kuna pia mwanasiasa fulani ambaye sitamtaja hapa. Nikapeleka huyo mtoto kwa shule, alikuwa na arrears ya karibu 22,000 na wale wahisani wakamlipia. Then the principal told me there's another genius boy here. There's a genius boy here ambaye pia ako kwa nyumba. Can you imagine we left with that principal tukaenda kwa nyumba ya huyu mama? Is when I came to know her. Tukaenda na huyo principal shule kwa. But that kid as we speak, kama kuna Mkenya anasikiza anaweza saidia mama. That boy anaitwa Victor na ni mwerevu sana, ako kwa nyumba vile tunaongea. Na inafaa akalie KJSA. Anaendanga mahali fulani tuition, analipa, you said how much? 50 shillings on a Saturday.
And how much is he supposed to pay to go so that he can sit this exam?
That's 3,000.
33,000 shillings is what is owed.
So I say that this education sector in Kenya is in a crisis and it needs radical surgery. Then on bursaries, which maybe we might forget, bursaries is when parents who are here and all the stakeholders, it is possible to have education can be very free in this country if we merge bursaries. Because me, I understand the nitty-gritty, the A to Z, the running of NGCDF. I understand it fully. And I try to count the number of bursaries that are there. There are almost 20 in categories. Asanteni.
Absolutely. Claudia, what do we need to do? Because I'm just thinking about, this is a group of 8 people, right? and everybody has an experience. We see all of us come into contact with the education system every day. It really doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you're in Kuru, whether you're in Embakasi East, South, whether you're in Kileleshwa, whether you're in Westerns, whether you're on Mombasa Road. The problems are through and through. But then I think about the solution, which we must having when we have these conversations. What is the solution to all of this? Can you imagine? We've introduced these children to a corrupt system. We've introduced these children to a lackluster system in terms of quality. They grow up knowing that if I'm in the back of the class, for God's sake, I'm going to sleep. Whether the teacher teaches or whether I go to class or not, doesn't matter. Nobody's going to ask questions. I have been with I'm just listing them so that we can see how it sounds. Whether I have been in this school for 8 years, I'm going to go sit a KGSE exam in another school. They don't even know who I am, but we saw Bora.
Borelium.
All right. So then we keep moving like that. I don't even want to start asking about sanitary conditions. I'm being told that there are some schools where children, when they should be learning, are the ones who are cleaning the schools. They're the ones washing the toilets. For God's sake, what do we expect is supposed to happen? But then how do we clean it up? How do we assure quality? Let's even start with infrastructure. And this is one part of the city that has 17 constituencies, right? How are we going to start to chip away to get to the solution? Because it seems like a hell of a lot of work to do.
Thank you for the questions and charting the way forward, because we're all about solutions. There are problems, but we're all about solutions. I'll just speak it from what Mwalimu said. The problem in this country, based on where we sit as researchers, is not allocation of money in the education sector. The problem is utilization of the money. The problem is utilization. We have a huge budget on education. So how can we ensure there is proper utilization? It's a time where we call people to be accountable. In every space that anyone occupies, can they just now become accountable and measures taken on those who are ruining the education for our children? The state has the mandate to provide quality education in this country. So we are slowly failing to achieve that. Can everyone take accountability? From where I sit in terms of policy engagements, we have a lot of policies in the education space, but the challenge is enforcement. Right? Because there's another guideline on school establishment where it says for you to establish another primary school, there has to be a population of 480 children, and the distance should not be less than 600 meters. So in this situation where we are seeing that there are few primary schools, can we just apply the policy where if we find a school has more than 480 children, can we now establish another school and ensure that the children have enough infrastructure, have enough teachers so they can get quality education? The other aspect that I'd like to mention is we are hearing a lot of low-cost private schools. They're here with us, and they will be here with us for long. Is it time for the government to streamline them? Streamline them, do some quality checks and ensure that they are registered and provide quality education, because that's a solution, because they complement the public primary schools that we have, and they're limited. Can they now be streamlined? So that now at the end of the day, when you go to an up-bid school or when you go to a low-cost private school, you're able to go through the system and be able to do your exams and continue with your life. In terms of community, because you're looking at government, so what can the communities do to ensure that we have quality education in this country? As parents seated here, we have a role. True or false? We have a role. And your role is calling to accountability the leaders in your wards, the leaders in your constituency. Soon we'll be going into the election year. Leaders will come up with manifestos. Can we ensure, like in our communities, there's a component of education, and not just education, quality education? Can we also ensure that there's a scorecard? If you want to run for a second term, there's a scorecard. How did you perform in ensuring we have quality education in our county or constituency? Those are some of the ideas I have on improvement of quality education.
I want to add something. Can I add just something about now the teaching part of it? You've really given very wonderful solutions, and we've just seen in the last 1 week some very big riots in schools, children burning dormitories, and all this kind of thing. It's part of the systematic failure. And I tend to think one of the biggest solutions that we need in the education sector is is management, leadership and management of schools, and all this kind of thing falls back on people like us, we teachers. That teachers and people who have been given the responsibility to man education in this country just need to take their work very seriously now. We've reached a place whereby we cannot afford to joke with the whole nation. These parents are depending on us as leaders. These parents and this nation actually, and our generations to come, are dependent on us as teachers and we as leaders elected in this country. We need to think very seriously. There is a person who said, if you get your education wrong as a country, you've gotten everything wrong. So maybe it is time now, as a country called Kenya, that we need to just mature up. We need to stop this kind of thing that we just let things just happen and just be like ambulance chasers when it comes to education. Education in this country lacks proper policy, lacks proper direction. The changes in this curriculum, the organs that are supposed to be running the education system, like the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD, we need these things to work. We need semester, the people who come up with STEM, the subjects that we are teaching. We need these people to get very serious about it, and not only just get serious, we also need our parliament. Our parliamentarians, we must call them to order as a solution. You members of parliament, we have got something called the Education Committee in parliament. Are you able to give direction, proper direction on where our education is going? When we see schools burning, when we see our young children take to the dorms and burn the whole school down, it means we have failed as a country. We have failed as teachers, and we must rise up and take this chance to ask ourselves the hard questions. Are we on the right direction or not?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, as I said, I will say this very briefly. We are on our own. Because the moment you see that the solutions upon which we believe that should come about, as Madam has told us, they are still dependent on the same leaders who have already failed us. There is no way, I believe, the Minister of Education can be foolhardy enough to go take his child and take them to a public school. They cannot do that. These things, they are making them for us. Why? Can they afford to take their children from where they're learning and take them to public schools? They cannot, because they know the quality of education that is being given out there. As they say, when mother cow is chewing grass, its young ones watch its mouth. The truth is, if a high-profile politician can decide Langata Primary School does not need that extra space, but adjacent to it there is a hotel, they must, that space goes to the hotel, then you know what I'm talking about. We need to do what we call cleansing, and this cleansing must be political. When we go vote, ladies and gentlemen, let us go and vote wisely. Let us go and vote for the posterity, for our children. We are having already, we have had enough. We cannot continue like this.
Point of information. Oh, thank you. Mine is just some information. It's good that you have brought in the issue of the leaders we elect. And Claudia, you have talked of, you have gone that route, that's where we can bring some change, that we look at the people we elect. There's a saying that people get the leaders they deserve, right? But me, I'm a voter educator, and I've been accredited to offer. With the coming general election, I've been accredited, a week ago, I've been accredited to offer to be a voter education provider countrywide. So, and I'm the brainchild behind what we call the manifesto of its kind that existed in Embaka South on the run-up to 2022 election. So, I did organize what we call candidates debate, whereby politicians don't come up with a manifesto. Politicians don't come up with a manifesto to tell us what they do. We know what we want. And I'm planning to take it countrywide, Asanteni.
Well, these are tough conversations that we have, and can you make your point in 10 seconds, because we need to close this out now.
Yeah. So maybe just give an overview what we have discussed here. One, kuna hiki kitu kila mtu anasema kwamba education iwezi kuwa free. education inaweza kuwa free. Kwa sababu hatuwezi kuwa na pesa alafu tukose free education. Nini tunakosa? Kila mtu akaapa kiongozi umechagua anatoshana na sisi. It's the face of us, because even it's the president ndiye akili yetu yenye tuko nayo.
Okay. There we go.
Because if you look at the way we are having leaders who are leading us, is what we are made of.
All right.
Now we should be looking where is our problem.
Let's say our decisions reflect exactly who we are.
Indeed. This has been a SpiceFM Baraza. It's been a difficult one to just be able to go through the realities, but then understanding what really took a ground. That's a totally different reality from what is really going on and what is in the boardrooms. Thank you, each and every one of you who are here this morning and sharing those difficult experiences. It's our hope that we don't stop talking about it so that we can get solutions. We don't want to just complain, but we also want to look forward to a time where these will be things of the past. It doesn't need to be. We can do better. We should do better. Thanks for being part of the Spice Baraza this morning. Claudia Lagat, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Bwana Munga, Bwana Mbuche, thank you for leading the team. Each and every one of you. Asanteni sana for coming this morning. We'll continue more with our conversations. And thank you all of you who are here on our audiences, on our live streams this morning, continuing to be part of this conversation. And of course, our audiences on KTN around the country and around the world. This is The Situation Room. It's 2 minutes past 10. We'll talk again tomorrow. Good morning.
Thank you.
It's from around the world. 94.4 FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga. The Social Economic Development and Human Rights Alliance is calling on chiefs nationwide to help track down Kenyans who haven't collected their national ID cards. SEDRA Director Samuel Kiboi says this effort is key to ensuring eligible citizens can register to vote.
Ningetaka kurai machief yale vitambulisho viko mbele